2-1. They're in the bottom of the second. Padres with an early 1-0 lead over the Cubs in the second. Mets Cardinals, they are still in a rain delay. The game is yet to start.
It's time.
You know what time it is?
Game for Tuscaloosa's longest running sports show.
The biggest goal of our team,
especially in the first half,
we at Bama, we're trying to be the best. Always is to win a national championship.
Something cool to look back on.
We don't want to waste a failure.
You're inside the game.
John Mechie on the ground.
Appreciate your interest in the game.
On your home for Alabama sports.
Alabama wins.
Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota. And now, here's your award-winning host, Ryan Fowler.
How are you doing, Tuscaloosa? I hope you're having an amazing afternoon. We're going to be with you all the way until 6 o'clock. We're going to have a lot of fun. We remember to download the Tide 100.9 app and listen to all of our shows. Mornings with Martin Houston, 6 a.m. Wimp and Barry inside the locker room, 7 until 9. 9 until 11, the Gary Harris Show. WVUA Sports Director and our very own here at Tide 100.9, leading right into Wyatt Fulton, T-Town Sports Daily from 11 until noon. You just heard Corey and Christian Miller from 12 until 2, the Miller's Edge. And then we pick it up every day starting at 2 o'clock. We'll be with you all the way until 6 p.m. Hopefully you're having a great afternoon as we count it down. 115 days away from Alabama Crimson Tide football. 115 days away. And we're now, it's beyond the halfway point of the offseason. So when Alabama finished up, and really I guess it was Michigan and the Washington Huskies, UW, playing in the national championship game. So we're beyond the halfway point of the offseason. We're on the backside of the slide, right? And really this is going to be a busy month. And I understand, there's not as much out there, but there's always growth. And I've always found this, and I've kind of tried to approach this from my own angle, that we have experienced more growth in the offseason than we probably have any other point. I know the football season brings in new listeners, but what we try to do is, because you're hungry, right? You ever been to a steakhouse, Noah? You ever been to a big steakhouse and you're starving, right?
Sure.
Let's say that you've got a 2-hour wait at a steakhouse, okay? Let's say it's not one of those reservation places. You pull up and you go in and you wait for 2 hours, and there's a saltine cracker on the table. That saltine cracker will taste amazing because you're starving, right? The anticipation, the hunger pains have begun to set in, and you'll take that or maybe a awful roll, or maybe it's good bread, and you'll soak that up, right? It's that appetizer. Well, that's what we are for college football season. We try to offer you things that other people are not able to offer here at our station. And we talk Alabama Crimson Tide football. Kalen DeBoer made the appearance at the Regions golf tournament up there, raising money for Children's Hospital. Nick Saban also with a couple of audio clips. And, we talked about this yesterday, him kind of staying out of the spotlight. Kalen DeBoer has been quite busy. He's been kind of on the speaker tour, doing a lot of different interviews with a lot of different radio shows. But also he's been doing some, public speaking. Tomorrow he's going to be doing the Chamber of Commerce here in Tuscaloosa, the Bryant Conference Center. And I don't know if tickets are still available. I did get a late email yesterday that there were still a few for that final push if you want to be a part of that. And I believe it's in the early afternoon or late afternoon, somewhere around 4 o'clock. So you can still look at that, the Chamber of Commerce of West Alabama. Little leadership training with Kalen DeBoer. Going to be giving a leadership meeting. He spoke last night at the Coach Stallings annual award banquet, which goes to recognize his community and humanitarian involvement in the community. So I don't know exactly a lot of the things that he's involved in charity-wise, but today
were you there for that, Ryan? Were you at that?
I was not. I couldn't get the private jet to crank up. Still trying to work on the spark plugs. But we're gonna have to get that thing ready to go because we got Alabama basketball. I mean, the travel budget is going to be through the roof. I mean, it is going to be like I said, winning a lottery. I'm not sure that just hitting a small lottery is going to be enough to travel around to Alabama football and Alabama basketball. And Aaron Torres is going to be with us just coming up in a couple of minutes. But, I mean, the travel budget, we might want to just buy an RV. I mean, do you think we could afford an RV? Like,
Maybe if we all pitched in or something.
That Crimson Vacation, that type of RV, right? That there is called an RV.
There used to be didn't there used to be like a Tide 100.9 van? Isn't that a thing? What? One was telling me about that the other day.
We did. It kind of resembled a van that looked like one of these to go and pick up bodies from the hospital or the morgue or having an autopsy. It was a black van. It was covered completely black. It had great markings on the outside, but we were willed that. Like, okay, so we got that van because it was another station in our building. You know, we're kind of the half child. We're almost the, you know, we don't get new blue jeans. We get blue jeans with a lot of holes in them, right? We don't get new khaki pants. We get the one that the brother grew out of, and we get kind of passed down a little bit. So yeah, we did. We had one, and then we had this rodeo. This is Zuzu Rodeo before that. Now you're talking about a sight. Now, Noah, when you got in that sucker, you took the life of your own. I mean, in your hands. This was previously. This was not Town Square, our company that owns us, that invests in our company. This was, I believe it was Citadel at that point. I don't even know if anybody in the building remembers this, but because there's not many that were driving around. But this thing, full speed on the interstate, 50 miles per hour was the max speed in this Isuzu Rodeo. That was the max speed. I mean, like we would go to high school football games, and you'd be on the interstate, and 50 miles per hour was the fastest you could go. This thing sounded like I can't even explain the automobile. This has been about 15 years ago. So, probably 2010. Yeah, 2010, 2009, something like that. Isuzu Rodeo, and it was man, oh man, oh man, oh man. I don't even know if that company's still in business. I assume they are, but they wouldn't make too much money if they were selling this particular vehicle. But we took that thing on high school trips, so we're going to need to get us an RV. Going to have to invest because we've got SEC spring meetings in Sandestin. We will be there. Why will we be there? Because Greg Sankey sent me an invitation. So I guess we'll be there, and we'll cover that event from a couple of different angles. So Greg Sankey, appreciate the invitation. We'll be there later this month, and then we'll be in Dallas coming up for SEC Media Days the middle of July. Last year it was Nashville. This year it's in Texas. And then we'll also, I'm sure at some point, be going back to the College Football Hall of Fame there. And then we'll start the season. And just think about if you're traveling in this season. You got Alabama, Wisconsin. That's a big road trip. You got Alabama, Oklahoma. And the folks out in Norman are super excited about Oklahoma and Alabama and kind of this back and forth. They'll be coming back to Tuscaloosa the following year. We got a lot of things to discuss, and I've got a lot of things that we will talk about. Aaron Torres has got Alabama basketball as the number one team in the country. We're going to talk about that coming up here in about 4 minutes. We're going to dive into it with Dave Bartu. He's got some metrics that he wants to dive in. I also want to talk about this Brian Kelly, because the part that I don't believe, it says, quote, "We are not in the market of buying players." Unfortunately, right now, that's what some guys are looking for. They want to be bought, end quote. That is Brian Kelly, LSU. Now, do you believe him, or do you believe that this is simply we don't have enough money in our NIL, so we're going to take this side of saying, well, it's against, and we're just not into buying players. That's not who we are. Or do you simply just don't have enough from a collective standpoint to get in and bid on players? Okay, I will say this. This is where it will start if it's authentic, right? If Brian Kelly has a ton of money in his collective and then he's choosing not to pay players, well, that adds a different value, right? That adds a different value. And you say, it's kind of like me. I can't afford to live in Nick Saban's neighborhood. I can't afford to live with all you rich folks up at North River. That's not me. I can't swing with those in that batter's box. Okay, that's why I'm in Coker, Alabama, living out there with all of us
like JR
country bumpkins. Yeah. I mean, just out in the woods. So that's my budget. You may have a different budget, and hey, I'm happy for you. I'm not disappointed. I'm not jealous, but it's if you have that money and then you choose not to do that. Is Brian Kelly, because I'd love to know how that collective is. Is the collective financially there? Or, and I'll give you some advice. A lot of these coaches do this in times where they know that they're going to get the most attention. We're always powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com. We also have Sonny Dykes, the TCU head coach, saying, quote, Alabama and La Tech are not playing the same sport, end quote. That's via On3. Sonny Dykes saying that. We've also got some movement on the recruiting side of things. Kalen DeBoer answered that big question earlier today. What was it? We're going to talk about that coming up in about 30 minutes because he kind of participated in the show without participating in the show yesterday. Did you hear it? You will, coming up in about 30 minutes. Aaron Torres shares thoughts on Alabama basketball. Clifford Amori coming to the University of Alabama at 6'11", 240 pounds. What's he going to give the Crimson Tide? We're going to talk about it. We're always powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota. Aaron Torres next, right here on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Check out Guitar John.
In the construction field, go to skilltradesofwestalabama.com and find out more information about the 4-week Jumpstart program and take your first steps towards a rewarding career.
Now, this hour's West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
It's looking like Tuscaloosa's getting a new restaurant soon on Skyland Boulevard. Chow Country Buffet is coming soon to Tuscaloosa and will be located at 1100 Skyland Boulevard East. Tuscaloosa automotive dealer Townsend Nissan seeks to help the American Red Cross of Central and West Alabama secure more blood donations as the demand is rising for the summertime. Wednesday, May the 8th, Townsend Nissan at 2620 Skyland Boulevard will hold their annual blood drive. Follow these stories and more at TuscaloosaThread.com.
Get 24/7 local news coverage and sports updates when you download the free Tuscaloosa Thread app and sign up for twice daily email newsletters.
Over 60 years of serving Tuscaloosa and West Alabama. When you talk about the friendly staff at Pat's Florist and Gourmet Baskets, 1010 Queen City Avenue, when you look at the fall floral arrangements, maybe you're trying to lift someone's spirits a little bit under the weather, celebrating a birthday or a special occasion, it's Pat's Florist, 205-345-5093. Anniversary, birthday, get well, love, romance. Make someone smile today. Pat's Florist and Gourmet Baskets.
With only 43 seconds remaining, facing a 4th and goal from the 31-yard line at Jordan-Hare Stadium, quarterback Jalen Milroe finds himself under immense pressure, scrambling to connect with Isaiah Bond in the corner of the end zone for a miraculous come-from-behind victory over Auburn. The jaw-dropping 27-24 result came on the 10th anniversary of the Kick Six. Daniel Moore is proud to announce 4th and 31, his upcoming oil painting featuring the now famous Gravedigger play. New Life Art is now accepting pre-orders for limited edition fine art prints and canvases of 4th and 31. See the preliminary pencil sketch for the artist's full color painting at DanielMooreArt.com. Pre-order your artwork now by calling 1-800-735-2787 or by visiting DanielMooreArt.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A summer-like afternoon, partially sunny, a few isolated showers or storms through tonight. The high today 90, tonight's low 68. Tomorrow, thunderstorms likely during the morning. Another storm possible by late afternoon. The high tomorrow 87. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 85 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
You're inside the game on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Right back into the game. It's Rumsey Environmental. It's a one-stop shop serving West Alabama for all of your waste removal needs. When you have to know it's being done right, that's the time to call Rumsey Environmental, 205-248-0002. Rumsey Environmental. We're going to Aaron Torres. He's got one of the most popular sports podcasts in the entire country. You can subscribe to him and join those thousands of fans and a lot of Alabama fans that follow his YouTube channel. Search for Aaron Torres. Subscribe to him where you get your podcast. You can connect with him at Aaron_Torres. Aaron Torres also got some big praise for the Crimson Tide. Torres, how are you, man? Welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa.
I'm great, Ryan. Yeah, I don't know if praise is the right word. I mean, the praise goes to Nate Oates. I'm just sharing an opinion based on the facts that I believe are in front of us, which I believe that if Mark Sears comes back and Jaron Stevenson comes back, the Alabama Crimson Tide should be the number one team in the country going into next year. So am I praising the program? Yeah, maybe I am. I guess maybe that's the right word. But the real praise goes to Nate Oates, Preston Murphy, and that entire staff for the incredible program that they've put together.
All right. From your perspective, what has built this program to where they can get that type of recognition? Is it simply just Nate Oates is a brilliant coach? Because, we from a standpoint of local, there was a lot of people who said he'll never be able to recruit as long as Alabama has an old facility. They don't have a brand new modern basketball facility. It's nice, okay? It's not like the dumps like people pretend. But how has Nate Oates been able to overcome all of this? Is it simply the system? Share your thoughts on how he's been able to do it.
Yeah, I think that's number one. And I've shared this story before. At some point I got to go back and find the tweet, but it was during his first season, which didn't result in an NCAA tournament. But I believe that I said something to the effect of, and there was no tournament in 2020, but they weren't trending there year one. But I just bring it up because I believe I had a tweet. They played Auburn at Coleman Coliseum on a midweek game. And I remember sitting there watching, and the light bulb just went off over my head. And I said, you know what? I don't know how it's going to go this year, but he is going to have no trouble getting players to play in that system because, it's fast. Ultimately, at the end of the day, this is the deal. Is there's a lot of things that kids want, but I think ultimately, kids want to be in a system that puts them in position to kind of show off their skill set and abilities. And I think there are a lot of great systems out there, but obviously, if you're committed on both ends of the floor, and even this year they weren't even really fully committed on both ends of the floor, but, if you have the ability to put the ball in the basket, which every 17-year-old player thinks that they do, this system is going to accentuate it and allow you to show off those skills. So I've always felt like the system helped. And then from there, we got to go back and why are we having long-term success now? It starts with really, the Herb Jones, John Petty's, Kyra Lewis's that believed in that system when they sat down with Nate Oates 5-6 years ago. Obviously, you win an SEC from there. It makes it a little easier to recruit a Brandon Miller, and it's a snowball effect from there. So I think it does start with the system, Ryan, and then like anything else in recruiting, success begets success. Credit Nate Oates for for convincing those kids to stay and then putting them in position to succeed. And then, oh, by the way, putting two of them in the NBA. It's all intertwined, Ryan. It really is.
So when you look at Nate Oates going out and getting a player at a discount, okay, we know about the Nick Saban discount, or at least we were told you got the Saban discount. Is Nate Oates now getting a discount because of the system that he operates in?
Yeah, it's really funny. First of all, I've heard some sort of uninformed people kind of insinuate about NIL at Alabama, and this isn't a knock in any way, shape, or form, but I don't think the NIL is number one or number two. And I think to your point, Ryan, I think people are choosing this school because of the system and because of Nate Oates. And so I've seen some other people, Jeff Goodman included, reference the fact that NIL was not the driving factor in Cliff Omiori's decision. Every time I say his name, by the way, I say it differently and incorrectly.
Me too.
But thank you. I appreciate it, brother.
Hey, I'm with you, man. I'm looking at it going, okay, how do I say this? And we'll get it. We'll get it like Tua Tagovailoa. We're going to get this. We're going to master this. I promise you.
Well, and first of all, here's the other embarrassing thing. I was actually spelling it wrong for most of the spring. Finally got the spelling right, but now the spelling got in my own head because of the spelling. But anyway, Ryan, yeah, so I just think it speaks to, again, it's a complete program, right? Is that it's about recruiting, but it's also about player development, but it's also about having success on the court, but it's also about putting guys in the NBA. There just aren't very many places that can say that, Ryan, right? There's plenty of places that recruit high-caliber guys. Are they winning at the college level? Are they developing them into NBA players? And are you developing, or the opposite? Are you taking guys that are already good, and are you doing anything with them? I think Mark Sears is maybe the greatest example yet of Nate Oates' ability of, listen, Brandon Miller, no disrespect intended, but he could have gone a lot of places and been a top 5 pick. Now, would he have gone number 2 at a lot of places? Maybe not. But for this staff to be in position where a Mark Sears potentially can get drafted, I mean, you go through all the guys, and it feels like Nate Oates just got there, but Josh Primo, who I know has certainly had some issues in the NBA, but a guy that, reclassified and was a top 15 pick a year after that. Herb Jones becoming a first-round pick after a couple years with Nate Oates. So I could go on, but I think this all speaks to what you're talking about, what you're asking about, which is that certainly NIL is a factor in this era. But I do think if you can sell other things, the more things you can sell outside of NIL, you don't have to be number one. That's what UConn's doing right now. That's what Bama's doing right now. But it's really a select few programs that can say, hey, come here on a discount because it's only going to help you in the long run.
Torres, here's the question I got for you, okay?
Ooh.
We talk about players. We talk about coaches. We talk about media. By the way, I've started my GoFundMe. It's called Fowler Traveling here because if I'm going to have to follow Alabama basketball, SEC spring meetings, SEC media days, Kalen DeBoer, I mean, what do you recommend, Torres? Because, I mean, we need to talk about the fans and travel because Alabama fans love to be there. You've talked about inviting us out to San Antonio to the Torres party at the Final Four next year. If Kalen DeBoer does what we think he's going to be able to do, we're going to be in the playoffs. I mean, you got to win the lottery to follow Alabama around.
So your advice to me, you're asking for financial advice? Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Huh.
I mean, would you recommend like electric vehicle? Would you recommend Amtrak, Greyhound, buying an RV?
Well, I think an RV certainly would help. No, I mean, listen, you got a whole trip to Alaska because of Pete Golding. I mean, do we just bet the over in every Ole Miss game? Is that how we fund all of our trips? Is that what we decide to do?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at it going, how in the world do I pull this off?
Well, and can I say one thing really quick on that is that I do think, and I've been thinking about all this, is I everything now, and listen, right, the world goes around on money, on green, I get it. I do think there is something to the fan is being hurt by all of this change in college sports. And you bring it up. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the story. You probably almost certainly have because it involves Alabama about this preseason tournament that has NIL involved. And I sat there and said, okay, it's cool and the players want to get paid and I get it. But, is that what the Thanksgiving tournament is going to turn into where you used to go to the Maui Invitational? You used to be able to go to the Bahamas. You used to be able to have all these really cool adventures. Now it's just going to be playing one tournament every year in Vegas because it's going to pay players and the other places can't. Now, I don't know. I don't think it's actually going to get there because I think there's some issues with that tournament that I was reading about. But I was just thinking about how, and everything is moving so fast. And I think the one thing that no one has really accounted for is the fans are the losers, right? We've talked about this part, but you gotta help the school with facilities and renovations, and now you got to pay the players, but they also want you to travel to support the team. And, God forbid Alabama has a good football team and a good basketball team, and you have to make tough decisions. And so, I guess the point I'm trying to make is there's been a lot of change over the last, 24 to 36 months in college sports. And by the way, I'm not just talking about NIL. I'm talking about an expanded college football playoff. I'm talking about a bunch of other things where, again, I do think the fan experience is probably being hurt by that a little bit. And I don't think it's sad that no one has taken the time to really acknowledge that.
Well, and when they cut down the playoff tickets from 17.5 to 12.5, they knew what was coming. They knew that the demand was going to slide. When they cut down the school's allotment for tickets from 17.5 to 12.5, because nobody's going to be able to afford to do it. I mean, right now in this economy, it's not where it needs to be, and you really don't have that extra, money to be able to spend. You're spending on a loaf of bread, a jar of peanut butter. But when you look at traveling around following, and I'm not trying to get people depressed, but you've got to determine, hey, what games are you going to go and attend? You got to go to Norman to watch Oklahoma. You got to go to Alabama, Wisconsin up in Camp Randall. You got to go to the Final Four. You got to go to playoff games. Now, it does help for Alabama if Kalen DeBoer is able to do it in year number one. The college football national title will be in Atlanta, and that's just it's a day trip. It's kind of like you in the Rose Bowl. You hit that lottery, right? You sleep in your own bed.
No doubt.
I mean that's a win for you. And the good thing is the Rose Bowl is going to be a part of these playoffs, and that's good. But just from a financial standpoint, it's going to cost some money. And Nick Saban destroyed a lot of kids' college funds in Tuscaloosa in the last 17 years. I mean, there was a lot of college funds that were spent traveling around for the Crimson Tide. I could promise you.
I was going to say, are you going to make the joke now they all ended up having to go to Auburn because they couldn't afford Alabama? Is that what you're going to say?
Well, now we have more tractor drivers. By the way, Hugh Freeze, your buddy, he doesn't look well. He doesn't look well, Torres. You need to check on him, man.
I saw he was trending. Did he do something? Is something going on?
I don't know. I didn't see. What was he trending for?
So can I say this too? Because I was thinking about him the other day in Auburn. And it plays into what I just talked about the fan experience. And I was just thinking about him it's not just him. I think it's Mike Elko at Texas A&M. I think it's Josh Heupel at Tennessee. It's like, I get that we have a 12-team playoff, but, obviously basketball is largely done, and I'm really starting to kind of sort of ramp back up for football. And you just look at some of these schedules, and it's just like all these coaches can't survive. And it's just it's so – because, everyone's talking about Texas and Oklahoma joining the league, but it's not really Texas and Oklahoma. It's Texas and Oklahoma at a time when we're eliminating divisions. Now, for some schools, like in Alabama, like in Auburn, it might be a little bit easier. But I just bring it up because, I was thinking about not only Hugh Freeze, but, again, Mike Elko, Josh Heupel. Some of these jobs just got so much tougher. And I know, there's 12 playoff spots now and da-da-da-da and this and that. But we also know that at most schools in the SEC, just getting to a playoff once every 4 years isn't going to be enough. You got to get there. You got to win. You got to be able to compete. And I just think a school like Auburn, a school like Tennessee, a school like Oklahoma, all of a sudden the path is so much tougher. And so, again, to what we've talked about, I think it's a theme of the conversation. I don't mean to be depressing today, but you get why Texas and Oklahoma joined the SEC. And what I would say is it all sounds really fun on paper. Oh, my goodness, look at these schedules. To your point, Ryan, Oklahoma, they're going to play Alabama. They're trading in Kansas State and Kansas for Alabama and LSU. And it's like, that sounds great, but guess what? Somebody's going to lose those games. Not everybody gets to go undefeated every year. As a matter of fact, probably nobody's going to go undefeated going forward. And again, I just think it feeds into the fan experience where, Auburn could maybe peel off an 11-1, 10-2 every couple years. And it's just going to be that much harder. And it's going to be that much harder for Kentucky to get to 8 wins. It's going to be harder for everybody. It's going to be harder for Alabama to get to 12 wins. So, I'm not saying the SEC shouldn't have expanded or it's a bad thing. It's not. But I just don't think people realize how hard it's going to be in those Power 2 conferences going forward. And really how we have to probably reset expectations because nobody's going undefeated anymore. And even good teams are going to lose 2 or 3 games.
Torres has predicted Alabama to start the season in his preseason poll, the way too early poll for college basketball. But where do you have Kalen DeBoer in your way too early football? You got a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
I did one after the season. I'd have to look.
You need to do another one, man.
They were definitely top 25-ish, I think. No, I'm kidding.
Golly, bro.
No, I'm kidding. I tease. No, I mean, listen, the only thing I would say is, what I think of him as a coach. The schedule this year specifically is just so tough, and if we stay at 8 and we keep the permanent rivals, blah 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 blah. That's an annual game with not only Tennessee and LSU, but there's going to be every other year where you got to go on the road, and so that's my only concern. It's not the talent in that locker room. It's, as you said, at Wisconsin, at Oklahoma, plus, oh, by the way, at LSU, at Tennessee. Hey, can I ask you a question really quick?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, anything.
Am I crazy? And I think it's because it's May and there's not that much to talk about unless you're a basketball savant like me and you.
It's my next question. Go for it.
Is it the Brian Kelly?
Yes. Yeah, it was my next question. My next question and the last question, because I know I got to get you out of here. Yes.
Yeah, it's okay. I got a little more time than I thought. I want to know. I don't feel like it's that big of a first of all, Brian Kelly trips over his own words all the time. He's a bad quote. He was the coach that said, what did he say? Something about, he basically insinuated he wanted to kill his players, jokingly, but I forget the quote. He said something about, I don't believe in homicide because something, I can't remember. I'll Google it before we get off air so I don't sound like I'm saying. He says weird stuff all the time. And I get that it probably isn't the quote that's going to invigorate your fan base, but I also just didn't think it was that big of a deal. And I also just think it's probably because it's May and there's nothing else to talk about. And so anytime anything pseudo newsworthy happens, everyone who covers college football feels like they have to take on it. I remember about 4 or 5 years ago when Jimbo Fisher said at the Touchdown Club that they were going to beat Alabama, and it was like everyone had to have a take because there's nothing to talk about. The long and the short of it, I didn't really think that quote was that interesting or big of a deal to me. But what did you make of it?
All right, 2 different things. I would love to know how good his collective is. Do they have money? Because if he's saying that and they've got plenty of money in the collective, then I respect it more that he's willing to say, I'm not going to buy players, because that's where it needs to start. Some of these coaches need to stand up and have integrity, right? To stand up and say, guys, we're just not going to do this. We're not going to do this. We're not going to turn this sport into the NFL, okay? If he does that, then I respect him, okay? But is he making an excuse because that defense was bad? And we know that they're in the market for defensive line. They've not been able to land any. They're in. I mean, Bo Davis went from Texas to LSU, and he gets there, and where's the defensive lineman? Where's the guys I'm going to coach? So when you think about LSU, is he making excuses? Because, in other words, he's setting it up saying, defensively, we're not going to be very good. I think he's pleasing or trying to explain to his fan base, hey, defensively, we're going to have some issues. I think everybody in college football, it's who manages all these issues. LSU's championship offense last year, they had an offense that could compete with anybody, that led the country in points per game. But their defense was garbage.
Well, and you know what's funny about that? As we've talked about, we've already jumped from a 12-team playoff to a potential 14-team playoff. You know who finished number 14 in college football last year? It was the LSU Tigers. It was the LSU Tigers. Now, yeah, and it's like, and this is my problem. I first of all, I never thought we needed to get to 12 anyway, but it's like now we're getting to 14. It's like LSU, I said this in another interview, but it's like LSU, like people are like, well, I mean, they'd be a playoff team. It's like, you know who hated watching LSU football more than anybody last year? LSU fans did. They hated that defense. They hated everything. Now, admittedly, in hindsight, they lost at Alabama. They lost to the 5th-ranked Florida State Seminoles on a neutral field that was in Florida, so it was basically a home game for Florida State, and they lost at Ole Miss. In hindsight, those 3 losses weren't as bad, but it doesn't change the point that you brought up, which is the defense was abysmal. In the new era, they would have been a playoff team. But I only bring it up to say I don't know, and maybe you're right, and maybe this is already him planting excuses. I just thought it was a clunky quote. I think what he was trying to say is, I don't know. I tend to think if he had to do it over, basically what he was trying to say was, We believe in NIL. We're going to take care of players. As you said, Ryan, we're not just going out and being the highest bidder. And by the way, we can't compliment Nate Oates 10 minutes ago in this conversation that, hey, he's built a program where it's not just about bidding on the best players and being the highest bidder, and then criticize Brian Kelly. And I know you weren't criticizing him. I can't get that worked up about it. If he had said this if he had said this December 17th and we were getting ready for a college football playoff, I don't know that anybody would care. But it's May 7th or 8th or 9th or whatever it is, and there's nothing to talk about. And so I saw everybody had to weigh in, and then I saw 20 different columns today, and it's like, man, I don't know. I'm grateful that I cover both college football and college basketball because this springtime is a really fun time to talk college basketball, and I would just be exhausted having to pretend to think that it was the dumbest thing that I've ever heard, Brian Kelly saying that they're not going to be a highest bidder for players. So.
Yeah, there's just so many different things that there's a ton of different things to talk about. I mean, I enjoy the polls. I enjoyed the Sonny Dykes quote because I think there's more value into that one than I think there's the other one. He said Alabama and La Tech are not playing the same game.
No, we've talked about that for years.
Yeah, we have, but I mean, it's a coach that's willing to go out here and say it, and I think at some point he talks about the future split between. And now they're calling it P4 and G5. There's just another thing that we're going to have to learn. It's no longer a P5. It's a P4, which makes sense. P4 and G5 schools, the group of five and the Power 4, no longer a Power 5. Alabama and La Tech aren't playing the same sport. That's a big quote, in my opinion, from Sonny Dykes.
Well, but what's interesting about that is, does that mean that we're done expanding, right? Because you could say that, but TCU – literally 10 years ago was a G5 school. So now that, 10 years ago, Alabama and TCU weren't playing the same sport. Like, we could pretend, but they weren't, but now TCU is. And so does that mean that we're done expanding? My guess is that we probably are. I know Greg Sankey has said on the record, but I believe him, is that, listen, I think the bottom line is there's really only a handful of schools that actually add value to these conferences at this point. I think, if anything, we're probably going to be contracting teams from the power structure more than adding. It was also funny. One thing we did talk about, I think it came out about a month ago, it was right around the Final Four, was the 72-team Premier League thing break off. And I was like, that makes no sense. There aren't 72. What was it? Was it 72 teams, Ryan? I think it was 72 teams. And it was like, I'm like, there aren't 72 teams that are competing at the same level. There's probably 20 to 25 that are really competing. So anyway, typical May stuff, realignment, contraction, addition, subtraction, welcome to May, June, July of college football.
But I will say this, and you and I have had this conversation before, and I'll leave you with this. We're talking with Aaron Torres, Fox Sports national analyst. I never approach the offseason because if you can offer something to the people that support your channel, your website,
no doubt,
your Twitter account, if you can do that, you can grow more now than you can in the season because people are looking for that. It's the saltine cracker at the steakhouse and the thing of butter. It is, people are hungry for college athletics. You and I, if we can offer it, we can grow more now than we could ever grow during the season. It's just my experience.
I have so much more on that, but your producer's cutting me off, so we'll save it there. I'll talk to you later. I got
Torres,
a lot on that. But
hey, go Nate Oates, baby. Go Nate Oates.
At basketball school, baby. We'll talk soon, okay?
See you, Torres. Appreciate you, man. Aaron Torres helping us out there, Fox Sports national analyst. Where do you guys want to go? I mean, there's a lot of different things that we could talk about. I like the Sonny Dykes quote because Alabama and La Tech are not playing the same game. But anybody else see the Hugh Freeze side of things? I mean, he looked like, I don't know, the bad guy. I haven't shaved in 4 or 5 days. It's just not a good look for Hugh, is it? I mean, he needs to be clean cut, priest outfit. And I mean, this is a guy that's got a beard down to, halfway down to my chest, okay? But I've also not been in the questionable behavior that he's had either. So you kind of look at it from that standpoint. Anyway, but did anybody else see that?
Tommy, I see you up on the board. I know you're going to go on a full rant. I know softball got beat. They're out. They're done. And it may be a happy moment just to say, let's put it out of our reach this season. Let's try to find a way to rebound in 2025. Let's continue with more of the game. We'll take your phone calls. T-Town Tide, 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
DrMartyPets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Find Tide on Twitter @Tide109 to keep up with show announcements, guests, and our reporters in the field.
My head is playing tricks again. Won't it ever stop, baby? Help me listen to my heart and then take me to the top. I'm afraid of love, so afraid of love.
Let's take Torres' comment, okay? When you look at LSU, Bengal Tiger coach, we're not in the market of buying players. Unfortunately, right now, that's what some guys are looking for. They want to be bought, end quote. This is Brian Kelly telling WAFB in that comment. What do you think? Take that comment. I know we're an Alabama audience, but listen, SEC rival LSU is a part of the conversation. How do you absorb what Brian Kelly said? Do you think that is something that he's stretching? I'd like to know more about this collective. That's what I want to know because, his services, as On 3 points out, he's got a $9.5 million deal. They brought him in there to win championships. They brought him in there to win national title. Coach O won a national title. Brian Kelly, are you making excuses? Are you creating some excuses before we ever get there? Let's go to Stephen in Raleigh, North Carolina. Stephen, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Hey, good afternoon, Ryan. How are you doing?
Hey, good. Thank you for calling in, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I had to go yesterday before I was able to talk. But would you ever believe that we're still talking basketball on May 8th at the University of Alabama with football around the corner? It is pretty amazing. It really is. I look at this roster. I want to talk basketball for just a second. I look at this roster, and and I think back to when I was a teenager at those rosters that I'm drawing a blank on the coach.
Not Wim Sanderson? Wim Sanderson?
Wim Sanderson. I'm sorry. I look back I look back at those Wim Sanderson rosters, and Ryan, his teams always only had about 7 players that he could go to. Those rosters, as far as really good players, and there were some great players on those rosters. But he would go 7 deep, and that is about as far as he could go. So I think that was part of the reason he never made it out past the Sweet 16. And I look at this roster that Coach Oates has built, and I mean, there are 9 through 13 could probably start at a lot of SEC schools this year. So it's going to be interesting to see how Coach Oates manages the roster and playing time because it is very deep, probably the deepest I've ever seen our roster be. So I'm excited for it, that's for sure. And Omori, our Achilles heel last year was the beefeater big man that could really bang with the Auburns and Tennessee as far as what they have. And I believe Coach Oates it looks like we've solved that problem as well. So as far as Kelly at LSU, if he's really telling the truth, and we know people don't always tell the truth, but if he's really saying we're not going to buy a player, that's not the type of player we're looking for, then you have to respect that. But I'm with you as far as what does his NIL look like? Because I don't know. That would be the question of the day as far as whether he's being truthful about buying players. I don't know. What do you think, Ryan?
And see that's the issue. Is like I would love to know it. I may text some of my LSU folks down there to ask them because I want to know how the collective is doing. Because if they're broke, it's easy to make this comment, right? I mean, if they don't have any money in their collective, and I can make this comment, hey, we're not in the market of buying players. We're better than that. Okay, well then it makes that comment look a little different. If they're loaded with money and he's making that comment, then I go, whoa, man, that's highly respectable. You know what I mean? I mean, because to me, this is the area, if coaches will stand up and they will unite together and quit doing this, some of this will clean its way up, right? The market will set itself. It will correct itself. But if this is authentic, I just don't know if it's authentic. Because, come on, I mean, if you're in a major college football coach at a major program like Notre Dame, like LSU, you're telling me that you haven't violated some of those rules of integrity? I'm not buying it.
I'm not either, Ryan.
I'm not buying it.
Is it Mike Detillier that you have from LSU?
Yes.
He has self-admitted that from his observation, and he's deep in LSU country, this defense is going to be bad. Really, like they have no defensive linemen, according to Mike Detillier. So
is they just had that's another narrative right there. What you just said, Stephen. He's setting it up for this season.
I think so, because the defense is going to be bad at LSU. And I know this. I worked down in Louisiana for many years for British Petroleum. And those LSU fans want their defense to play strong. They're just as passionate as we are. And I think Mike Kelly is setting it up to say this defense is going to be bad. They had the kid from the defensive lineman in town this past weekend, probably the best one in the portal. I forget if he was TCU or wherever he was from. I don't think he signed with them, if I remember correctly.
No, he ended up going somewhere else. And so you've got some coaches that are not doing this portal thing, right? Or not doing it well. One of them's Dabo. I mean, if you look at subtractions and additions, he's not adjusted very well to the rules of college football. And if you're a Clemson fan, you got to be pretty upset with Dabo. And I love Dabo. I love him as a former Alabama guy. I love what he stands for. But if you look at Dabo, he's paid to do what's best for Clemson, not what's best for Dabo. He's paid a lot of money. He's going to have to adjust or they're really going to get left behind quickly. I mean, you're already seeing kind of Clemson drift a little bit. If it had been from Steve and Spartanburg that kind of turned the season around last year with that coaching side of things, and I still almost think that might have been a plan. But these coaches, there are some questions around. But are we doing it from integrity standpoint, or are we doing it because we're broke? That's what I want to know, and I'm going to find out. I will find out. But Stephen, what do you think should be what do you think should be the travel side of things for Alabama fans? Because this is, I mean, minimum.
In an inflation, in a highly inflated economy, inflation out the roof, it costs you a paycheck to go to the grocery store. You're looking at fans choosing between basketball, football, and NIL. And NIL does not end year to year. You need more money for more players. And so NIL does not end. So you're going to see fans making hard choices in the future.
And you want to be there for your school, right? You want to be there for the team that you support because it makes a difference. Listen, I was out at the Rose Bowl. Alabama was outnumbered quite a bit. And I don't think that's a reflection on Alabama. I think it's just Alabama has been worn out with financial responsibility, right? I mean, they've had to travel around all these championships. And certainly we'll take the other side of it, right? We'll take the side of, hey, let's spend some extra money and we'll watch our team be successful, but we may not be able to dominate the stadium like Alabama's always done in the past. Stephen, I appreciate you, man. Great phone call.
Hey, roll tide, Brian.
So take what Stephen found out, that I got more Kalen DeBoer audio. He made some great comments around Jalen Milroe. He talked about Parker Brailsford. Alabama needs some help at that center spot. He feels pretty comfortable that they'll be okay at that spot. It's all about how can you manage with fewer injuries. Kalen DeBoer, great representative of the University of Alabama, enjoyed what he said. We'll get to that coming up at the 3 o'clock hour. You're listening to Tuscaloosa's longest-running sports show. I'm Ryan Fowler. This is The Game on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
$990. Wow, that's low. New Armadas, the full-size SUV with discounts up to $8,000. And yes, Townsend Nissan wants and needs your trade today. Shop Townsend Nissan.
Light up those phone lines on The Game with Ryan Fowler. 205-342-9904. You're inside The Game on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Daddy's making trouble, it'll be alright. I'm working hard. I don't know why.
What about the Wharf? If you're looking for a new pair of boots, Justin, Tony Lama, Red Wing, Georgia, Double H, Timberline, Laredo, and many more. If you're looking for a new pair of boots, working Western wear for the entire family, you'll find all the name brands, 60 different brands of boots, Wrangler, Levi, Lee, Under Armour, Rocky Clothing lineup. Great inventory, McFarland Boulevard between Winn-Dixie and the Blue Plate. You'll find our good folks right there, the Workin' Western headquarters since 1976, the Workin' Western headquarters for the entire family. It is the Wharf. Go over and see my friends Mark and Lee and tell them The Game sent you. It is the Wharf on McFarland Boulevard. Greatly appreciate them for being a part of our show. Let's continue with more phone calls. We go back to what we're talking about with Brian Kelly. Do you think it's authentic? Do you think he really means it here? We'll ask. We'll talk. We'll take your phone calls coming up here in just a couple of minutes. Paul and Lincoln, Tommy and Romulus, and Kalen DeBoer audio headed your way in 2 minutes. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Isaac Lowenkron.
In the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys today released receiver Martavis Bryant. The Pittsburgh Steelers are reportedly signing receiver Scotty Miller to a one-year deal. The Denver Broncos released quarterback Ben DiNucci. The NBA Most Valuable Player Award winner will be named at 7:30 Eastern Time this evening. The three finalists, Denver's Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks, and Oklahoma City's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. On the floor tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, Game 2 of the Eastern Conference semifinals from the Garden, with the New York Knicks up 1-0 over the Indiana Pacers. In Major League Baseball, the Milwaukee Brewers activated outfielder Christian Yelich, who had been on the injured list since April 16th because of a lower back.
Within 30 miles. And if they don't have what you need, they'll get it. Cypress Supply, 2036 62nd Avenue, Tuscaloosa. Cypress-supply.com.
Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. Call Paul at 205-331-6823. Custom curbing for your home or business. Do away with those plastic individual stone borders. Go for that more permanent decorative concrete border. No more grass growing between those individual stones. Cleaner to edge to maintain. They're willing to travel, not just here in Tuscaloosa, but also in our neighboring states as well, over in Mississippi. Many colors and choices. They'll customize for that individual taste and house. Give them a call at 205-331-6823. You could also go to their Facebook account. Find their page. You can see exactly what the videos. They came out, did a free quote. Paul gave me an evaluation. Give them a call, 205-331-6823. Free quotes and evaluation. It is Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. Call Paul at 205-331-6823.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A summer-like afternoon, partially sunny. A few isolated showers or storms through tonight. The high today 90, tonight's low 68. Tomorrow, thunderstorms likely during the morning. Another storm possible by late afternoon. The high tomorrow, 87. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 86 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Everything. She loves to move. She loves to groove. She loves a lot of things. All night, oh, every night. So hold tight, ooh, baby, hold tight. Oh, she said, any way you want it, that's the way you need it. Any way you want it. She said,
right back into the game here in Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. We're always powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com, 3325 Skyland Boulevard, and online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. The great dealership right there on Skyland Boulevard. How about a Tundra? How about a Tacoma? How about a 4Runner, RAV4, Highlander, Camry, Corolla, also the pre-owned inventory. The service department is always doing great work. It's the only place that we allow to work on our Toyotas because, you know, you don't need a lot of maintenance, but they know the sound of a Toyota, the sound. They know you pull in, you say, hey, I've got a little bit of issue here. I got a little bit of issue here. And that's where they're able to diagnose it a lot quicker. Service department, great dealership right there. David DeSantis, Tuscaloosa Toyota. They power the program. Let's continue with phone calls. We're going to go Tommy and Romulus, Paul in Lincoln, Josh in Georgia. We're taking your phone calls. We'll talk to Dave Bartu coming up. We've also got Kalen DeBoer audio that we're going to get to coming up here in a couple of minutes. But right now, we're going to let Tommy and Romulus cry on our shoulder. Tommy, it's not a free-for-all Friday rant, but it can be presented by Brian Harden Construction. If you need to go on a rant, just understand that you have the liberty to do that if you need it.
Thank you. You're so kind to give me this opportunity. I don't cry. There's no crying in softball. Toughen up, buckos. Okay. I have just watched tournaments and other tournaments. LSU was ranked 7th in the women's poll in softball. Alabama was 17th. Alabama got their first 2 runs in the first 4 batters. Couldn't do nothing for 13 more innings or 12 innings. I have come to a conclusion. I'm trying not to be negative as I was Friday because I was perplexed Friday. That our pitching in this conference is so much superior than the other conference. I don't understand it because I'm watching Minnesota and Illinois play a 5th seed in the Big Ten tournament going against the 12th or 13th. Is tied at 3-3. They hit the ball, both teams. They're making the pitching, I guess, not there. I don't understand it. I really don't. There's something I know everybody got on to me, a few people over the weekend saying, oh, you're trying to run our coach up. Oh, no, I never said that. I said there got to be adjustments made and attitude change out there. And I stand by my statement, for better or for worse. It's not a rant. It's something going on. You have gone downhill in hitting for the last 3-4 years in the SEC. I got a question. He's a great coach. You want to be a greater coach? You got to find out what the problem is. If they're not giving him money out there to hire a batting coach, a top quality hitting coach, all right, do we need a recruiting coordinator? Or if you need to get your wife to volunteer to go out there and put them on the couch and let them talk about the anxiety of hitting. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
well, I don't know if she's not a sports psychologist. I'm sure they probably have plenty of those.
Well, I figure they do, but somebody's not getting the job done. What I watched today, as the game went on, they conference the first 2 innings, but as the game go on, it seemed like the batters lose confidence. They swing at pitches.
Well, you said it right there. Confidence is such a huge part of, all sports, but really when you look at baseball and softball, you get in these slumps, it's hard to get out. Hard to get out. I mean, that's why Wade Boggs had fried chicken before every game for 162 games, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure he was probably times that he missed fried chicken, but it's the superstitions of baseball. It's, okay, I'm going to wear the same gloves, or I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to, shower 20 minutes before the game, whatever that may be. We've lost a lot of our confidence. And I've asked the question before, and you may be more qualified to answer this question because you're a lifelong softball fanatic. And I don't know, did you hear Steve Townsend talking about softball and how it was created, and how Hootie Ingram, who just passed away, is kind of one of the originators of kind of understanding, hey, we needed a softball program.
Well, he was down there when Florida State was playing slow pitch about 5 or 10 years before they went to fast pitch, because there was college softball. It was in college, but it was slow pitch. And Florida State and LSU, South Carolina, a few other, I think Michigan State had a thing. All right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, real quick before I get this, we'll get off topic. I'm going to tell you, you need to get another person to talk about Hootie Ingram, and she'll do a great job. You need to get Coach Patterson to talk about Hootie Ingram. I mean, really.
Yeah, that was a big comment yesterday from Steve talking about Sarah Patterson and how, he assisted her in Title IX and all of those things. And I know we have kind of Title IX in our back of our mind as a negative. It's really a positive, right? It's a positive for the university. There's a lot more that goes into Title IX other than just scholarship limitations and limiting, the amount of scholarships, because we counter Title IX because we've asked the question, does football need to go up in scholarships? Do you need 90? Do you need 95 now because of all the things that you're fighting? That's a real question. And Title IX kind of prevents you from getting there. Anyway.
Yeah, but no, going back to say talking about Title IX, but no, give her personal testimony how Hootie Ingram looked out for her during a time. I don't want to talk about it. It's her private business when she was expecting her second child, how she broke it down. You need to let her tell the story. Back then, not a lot of coach or athletic director, especially in women's sports, say, well, if you're pregnant or something, well, you got to go to bed rest for 4 or 5 months for the health of the mother and the child. He said, you take care of that baby. You take care of yourself. We got your back, Sarah. And he did that. But you need to let her tell that story because, it's a great, great testimony to Hootie by her. If you can get a hold of her, I don't know if she'll do it or not, but I think she'd be a great person. Steve, I'm not saying nothing bad about Steve. Steve did a great job, but yeah. Hootie came at a time when things had to change. You had in women's sports or athletic, period. And I'm still mad about, they went after him like a bunch of Salem witch trial jury did on the NCAA. That was a witch hunt from hell, excuse my French, but I don't think he ever did anything wrong. He was up front and all like that. That's all I'm going to say. But going back to softball, it's a mental thing. But I've listened to him say this for years, and he's got to change this, I believe. We always heard that baseball and softball is a game of failure. Because if you hit 300 in baseball and softball, oh, my goodness, you're the next Babe Ruth or Ted Williams. Because they hit, Ted Williams set the record by hitting 400 one season. And, well, you go and win the next pitch. I understand that, but no, you need to go out there now and do it. I think they have forgotten a little bit because I have watched the little national championship show they did, and I'm looking at that team. They can bunt, they can slap, they can steal, they can hit from power, they can place the ball, they can switch hit, they can hit opposite field. How am I going to say this about being critical? We don't have that. Or we're not executing like we once was. Because his philosophy has always been, and I've liked his philosophy, there's nothing wrong with it. Put pressure on the defense. Make them throw a throw in there. You saw that in the national championship game against Oklahoma in the rain. He had them playing It worked beautifully. And the girls believe in his philosophy, his plan. He's not a bad coach. He's not losing, but just something, need to get new blood or something out there. Jumpstart the program like you would do at football and basketball.
So, okay, let me ask you this question, Tommy. And
ask me. I'm confused.
there's no,
I know.
Okay, from a postseason standpoint, is there any hopes?
Well, I think the SEC is the toughest thing in the league unless they have to go to Texas the first round. I don't believe they're going to be hosting the first round. I really don't. Because they 17th in the nation, have to lose in a day, they'll drop them a spot or two. Unless the other schools above them don't have nice facility and they can't cram 4,500 fans in the stadium. That's what the NCAA looking. Because I thought last year, hosting the Super Regional, I was shocked. Because they had a better facility than Northwestern did. Well, I remember when Minnesota came down here and Nebraska, they was fussing about, why are we playing the Super Regional here? We got a better record. You don't have a nicer facility. Hate to be rude. Look at this softball stadium. I mean,
sure. Well, and it's the fan participation and listen, yeah. I've said this. I'm a huge fan of Patrick Murphy. He's always been super kind to me. I think he's a great ambassador of the University of Alabama. So, but as you said, there needs to be some adjustments made, whether it's internally, it's their approach, whatever that may be. Do it whatever it's the full capacity. Let me ask you about Brian Kelly's comment. You like to analyze stuff. What'd you hear from Brian Kelly's comment? I mean, is that one that you think is fair? Do you think he's telling the truth, or is this simply just because they're broke?
I think he's blowing smoke up LSU fans' rear end because I'm going to say why. Because, if I don't have successful, y'all not giving enough money to NIL. It's this, you're beating the dead horse. Like one of your callers said, we have a problem now. A paycheck, your weekly paycheck is going for food. Am I going to buy a softball ticket or football ticket? Or I can't even go to the movies now. I got to make up my mind. If I'm going to put gas in the truck to go to work, and I'm like, this sad situation. I mean, he pulled some crap up at Notre Dame about I might be talking to the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, I know when LSU hired him, everybody said, in 5 years he'll win a national championship. Well, he might very well. But every year, it don't look like it. I just think he's blowing smoke. I mean, this is the time of the year we hear noises, just like on the portal. I'm like, how can somebody want to go to Michigan State over Alabama? Well, and the kid from Wake Forest haven't made up his mind. He changed his mind. Well, it's like when you retire the coach here. Oh, Dan Lannon, this name, the guy at Florida State. Well, they got big raises. Maybe that kid from Wake Forest, it's just me. I'm saying that out in public so everybody can yell at me, not you, because I don't care. All right. If I put Alabama on my list, they looking at me, somebody will bump up the money, just like coaches do. There's no difference in coaches' searches. Well, Dan Lannon told Oregon, wow, man, Alabama might be looking at me. You get another $1 million. If you make this and this, we'll give you $500,000 or whatever he got. I mean, it's the nature of the beast. And he got to play the card. I'm like, I don't think good old Bo Davis is going to save the defense. That's just Bo Davis is a great football coach, but you got to have the talent. And defensive line is where LSU's been able to maximize that ability. Hey, man, I appreciate you, Tommy. I'm glad we were able to give you a couple of extra minutes. I don't know if we created more stress or less stress on you from that standpoint. I'm going to go to the cigar mansion tomorrow and buy me a box. I'll maybe take up cigar smoking again. I just cause so much stress.
You may need to do more than just cigars, Tommy. It sounds like softball. They do sell beer inside the stadium, right?
Yes.
Yeah, which I'm not even going to endorse that, but I'm just saying you might need something stronger than a cigar. Glass of half and half tea.
Well, I drink Milo, or I just drink a hard rock Coke with all the sugar and 230, 260 calories per can, or whatever, how much is in it. Just go hog wild. Yeah, man.
Hey, I got to run, Tommy. Thank you, man. Appreciate you as always. Let me remind you about. Thank you. Tommy and Robbie. This is Paul and Lincoln. We're going to get to you coming up here in just a couple of seconds. DCH, great things are happening at DCH Hospital, DCH Regional Medical Center there here in Tuscaloosa, Northport, the Medical Center, Fayette, Demopolis, DCHHealthSystem.com, DCHHealthSystem.com. Orthopedic services, cancer services, women's services, emergency services. It is DCHHealthSystem.com. Tuscaloosa, Northport, and Fayette, DCHHealthSystem.com. We'll continue with more of the game next. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Pets.com/deal or text deal to 511-511. Text deal to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
DreamlandBBQ.com. Dreamland Barbecue since 1958. Coach Bryant arrived at the University of Alabama. So did Dreamland with Big Daddy's Barbecue Hickory Smoke Ribs. If you're talking about catering for that big tailgate, or maybe it's just that family gathering or that small office party, you can do it at either location. You can also order online, carry out, curbside pickup, delivery are now available. It is DreamlandBBQ.com. We do our score prediction every Tuesday and Wednesday, made possible by Dreamland. That wonderful hickory smoked barbecue ribs. How about the Big Daddy barbecue sandwich? Those wings are underrated. They're one of the best in town. You'll find them there. How about those barbecue baked potatoes? Absolutely. Either location in our immediate area, Tuscaloosa, and the original location there off Jug Factory Road, downtown Northport. Dreamland, ain't nothing like them nowhere.
Now, this hour's West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
The Tuscaloosa County School System is looking to hire bus drivers for work available immediately and will host meetings next week for potential candidates to learn more. Also, deputies in Tuscaloosa County are asking for public help finding a teenager who they suspect ran away from home before dawn on Wednesday morning. In addition, responders with the Tuscaloosa Fire Rescue Service will soon begin administering blood products to people who are critically injured before they go to a hospital. You can read about these stories and more at thetuscaloosathread.com.
Get 24/7 local news coverage and sports updates when you download the free Tuscaloosa Thread app and sign up for twice daily email newsletters.
The Pharmacy at Midtown, TJ Thomas. He's the Nick Saban of pharmacists, and if your pharmacist doesn't have an Alabama shirt on, you don't want him. 205-752-0627. Sterile compounding facility, the only sterile compounding facility here in T-Town and West Alabama. All the compounding needs, the retail side. If you're looking for a pharmacy, many of those have closed here in West Alabama, and you're looking to transfer your prescriptions, PharmacyMidtown.com. PharmacyMidtown.com. Conveniently located right there at the back of Midtown. You'll find the Pharmacy at Midtown, a huge part of our show.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A summer-like afternoon, partially sunny, a few isolated showers or storms through tonight. The high today 90, tonight's low 68. Tomorrow, thunderstorms likely during the morning. Another storm possible by late afternoon. The high tomorrow 87. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 87 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Alabama Crimson Tide lives right here.
Down to the pylon. Touchdown, Alabama.
On Tide 100.9.
Your body's trying to sing. I got the feeling that you're playing and we're both gonna win. And I think this angel's about to sin. I get excited just thinking what you might be like. I get excited. There's heaven in your eyes tonight. The fire's ignited down below. It's burning bright. Oh, baby, stay with me all night. All night, baby, please. I can't please if I'm on my knees tonight. No, baby, you don't look that nervous when you bite.
Welcome you right back into the game here in Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9. Remember to download the Tide 100.9 app. It is a free download, Android, iPhone, Google Play. You can listen to all of us here from morning 6 a.m. with Martin Houston, Wimpin Berry, Gary Harris, Wyatt Fulton, Miller's Edge with Corey and Christian Miller, right into our show starting at 2 o'clock here, powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com. Let's go to Paul in Lincoln. Paul, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Hey, Ryan, embrace the suck. That's S-A-U-C-K.
C-K. S-A-U-C-K. Paul, did you see Hugh Hefner today?
Ryan, he looks just like the pimp that he is. Ryan, I don't know what kind of look he's trying to portray. I mean, this clown looks like he just pulled an all-nighter at Innisfree.
Yeah, great point.
I don't know what. Yeah, this dude looks. I mean, he looks about as disheveled as Pied Piper Pete, our former defensive coordinator. I don't know what. I don't know who's dressing him or who's telling him that he looks very astute, very professional. But this clown is. I mean, like I said, he is the pimp. He is the pimp that he is. And that's not all, Ryan. Have you seen the pictures? You were talking earlier with Torres about.
What was he? What's he trending for?
I don't know. I have no.
Okay. I thought you were about to add something to it. Okay.
Oh no. Well, no. I mean, I was going to say you were talking to Torres about the strides that Coach Oates has made down in Tuscaloosa without the benefit of a brand new arena. And, some folks argue one way or the other that Coleman is a dump. Coleman Coliseum is a Taj Mahal compared to Jordan Hare Stadium and Pat Dye Field. I don't know. I guess they've ripped the turf off of out of the pasture. I guess they're going to reseed it. But I saw a photo of it just barren. The field is just barren. It looks Ryan, that place is an Indian burial ground and imposter as a football field. That's what it is. That's what it looks. It looks terrible. That place is a dump. Okay, it's impersonating a football field. That's what I was trying to say. It's an Indian burial ground impersonating a football field. I don't know. I guess you can put lipstick on a pig. Do it over and over and over again. I mean, listen, that place is like I said, it's a dump. It hasn't been the only expansion that place has had in 30 years is they made a few more exits. I think their capacity has been 87,000 for about 35 years. So.
But it's more than just that. It's when you go to the stadium, it's the simple thing of pressure washing the concrete. Now, I understand when we go down there, I don't go down there anymore. Okay. My days they're done. Okay. They're finished. Okay. But Alabama always plays at the end of the season. So maybe it's just, they did it at the beginning of the season and time it gets to Alabama, the Iron Bowl, that it's dirty. But when you look at everything, it's the old style seating. It's the old hump in the middle of the field with the crown, the old crown stadium where the water runs off. It's the rusted chain link fence that's on the back of the stadium where your visitors come in. It's Georgia and Alabama having to bring their own restrooms for the locker room. I mean, let that sink in. I mean, you're literally. I mean, you're an SEC program.
Mm-hmm.
But Georgia and Alabama, they bring their own bathrooms. In other words, they bring, and it ain't portable toilets. Okay, they bring like a building where they rent it and bring it in. That's embarrassing.
It is. Well, I mean, what do you expect? I mean, their biggest claim to fame down there, Ryan, is their scoreboard's bigger than ours. That's it. Their scoreboard is bigger than yours.
The other end zone looks like
the other
something
end,
out of the Andy Griffith Show from the '60s.
Oh, it does. It looks like Mayberry on a Friday night. Are you kidding me? I mean, come on. What a
funny.
joke.
You look to your right if you're sitting on one of the end zones. You look to your right and a beautiful, beautiful big TV. You look to the left and it looks like something out of the 50s or the 60s. It's
Wow. It looks like an old Legion Field scoreboard.
Yeah, it looks like the light bulbs that need to be changed like throughout the game. Like to change the score, you got a guy that turns on the light bulbs. It's not digital anyway. Nothing making fun of those guys, but I just noticed Hugh just doesn't look right, and I don't know if it's the stress of living in Lee County. I don't know if it's trying to get back. When Vegas has got you at 6.5, 7 wins, and then you're trying to give him time. Yeah. In the current time that we live in, you can rebuild a program quicker than you could a few years ago.
Yeah, you could. But he just looks, I don't know what kind of look he's trying to portray. I mean, I can't put my finger on it. I just wondered, when they were doing the interview with him prior to him getting the job, I wonder, did they have a copy of the Auburn Creed on the table, and were they checking the boxes off as they went down the Auburn Creed? Because I know his answers had to just fall right in line with the Auburn Creed, wouldn't you think?
Deny. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, he must have he fooled somebody down there. I mean, because they're anchored with the Auburn Creed. I mean, we're a program of integrity, class, history, tradition. Oh my gosh! And then you hire this clown. I mean, come on. Oh my gosh.
I said, I understand. Competing against the University of Alabama is not fun. I understand that you're living up to Big Brother. I had a younger brother and I also had an older brother, so I could play two different roles. I get it. Looking up to older brother, looking down to younger brother. But then the problem is our younger brother grew up and he was bigger than all of us. So but Auburn, in realistic standpoint, you're never going to be able to do that. You're never going to grow up and be bigger than the University of Alabama.
They'll never be Big Brother.
Yeah, I just looked at, and Hugh looks like he looks like this may be a question for Bama Nick.
Do what?
But alcohol beverages have. I said this might be a better question for Bama Nick, but it looks like his caloric intake has increased too.
Yeah, he looks like he's
put on a few pounds.
He's gotten a little heavier, and maybe that's why he's wanting the 5 o'clock shadow look to hide maybe the double or triple chins. Because I have, Ryan, I have noticed that, and I got to thinking, Ryan. I said, Hugh Hefner, Hunter Freeze. I tell you what. He's got more chins than a Chinese phone book. Lord,
Paul, do you study up on things like? Do you study up and say that's material for the I Hate Auburn segment brought to you by CalCollege.com?
Ryan, I try to stay as current as humanly possible, my friend.
Okay.
Because listen, I feel like I've got a role on this show.
You do.
I really do. I really do. I feel like I'm as anti-Bug. I'm as anti-Lee County. I'm as anti-Auburn as you can be, and I want to continue to portray that, Ryan. I really do.
All right. So I know we haven't asked you anything about Alabama, but Brian Kelly just extended an offer to a defensive lineman, Jay Bayer Suggs, which is at Grand Valley State defensive lineman. How did you take Brian Kelly's comments? We're not going to buy players. We're not in the market of buying players. How did you analyze that, Paul?
Well, the first thing I thought about was, look at what has transpired in Clemson, South Carolina, with that kind of typical kind of mindset. And listen, I don't know. I didn't hear it. I don't know the context of, or whatever. But, today you got to play the game. You got to play the game like it is now. I mean, it's just, I just don't, I think that's the way the game's played now. It's pay for play and transfer portal. And you've got to be on top of it, I think. And, and we've heard Tatilia say the last couple of weeks that LSU's defense potentially can be as bad as it was last year. So, you may have to pony up.
Good stuff. Hey, thank you, Paul. Appreciate you. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, buddy.
Thank you, Paul in Lincoln. We're going to get to Josh in Georgia coming up in just a couple of minutes. Robert in Brookwood, I see you. Dave Bartu in 23 minutes. More K1 Abor audio coming up. 2 minutes away. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
So take care of any problems you got with a damp crawl space or a crack in your foundation. They even do pest control and lawn care. Full service, Alabama Professional Services at alabamaprofessional.com.
DanielMooreArt.com. Celebrate that special Alabama fan in your life. 4th and 31. The legacy continues. All those great moments in that Nick Saban dynasty. You can find it at DanielMooreArt.com. Remember, The Game is the code word for a significant discount. The Game. And also remind those guys, when you buy something that you heard about it right here on The Game with Ryan Fowler on Tide 100.9. DanielMooreArt.com. All the Nick Saban prints, whether you're celebrating Mark Ingram, Bryce Young, Devontae Smith, Derrick Henry, the great Heisman moments at the University of Alabama, you can find it at DanielMooreArt.com. DanielMooreArt.com. The code word, The Game, for a significant discount at DanielMooreArt.com. Pastor's Kitchen Mexican food right there in Northport. If you're looking for the great specials daily, the fajitas are outstanding. The Pastor's Dip, the appetizers, the fried ice cream, always a great option. It is Pastor's Kitchen Mexican food. Also find the food truck, and we are also now serving breakfast at Pastor's Kitchen Mexican food. Stop by the McFarland Boulevard location. You can also find him in Northside, Pastor's Kitchen Mexican food with Pastor Garcia.
It's the longest running sports show in Tuscaloosa. You're listening to The Game with Ryan Fowler on Tide 100.9.
This is a story about Billy Joe and Bobby Sue. Two young lovers with nothing better to do than sit around the house, get high and watch a tune. And here's what happened when they decided to cut loose. They headed down.
I just want to be properly prepared. I think I've told the audience a couple of times I'm out of state, and we have got some storms coming through. So, no, I need you to take over for the last 2 hours. Can you do the show for the last 2 hours? I mean, are you willing to jump in? I mean, in case I get.
No, I'll just let it be dead air. I'll just.
Okay.
Or I might just start talking about movies. I might just start talking about movies.
I'm just kidding. I do. We do have a couple of storms that are coming through. So
did you see did you see the other day Josh Pate was like chasing storms the other day?
I did.
That was crazy. I was like, no, Josh, be careful.
No, I do not. And that's been a hobby. He's got two crazy hobbies. Okay, one of them is chasing storms. The other is I don't even know if I should even tell this. He jumps on moving trains.
Really?
Yeah, like the old days.
Like just for the thrill of it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Josh is
he's like a danger seeker. He probably parachutes and skydives and like bungee jumps.
Oh, I'm sure. Too. Yeah, probably drives down like
He's probably excited. I mean, I know you're not a movie person at all, but like that Twisters movie is coming out this summer. Maybe.
Oh, is it a new one? Is it a new one?
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Because what's the Kevin Bacon one from like the 80s or whatever? It's like a reboot or whatever. So.
Okay. I'm
excited for it.
I've actually seen that movie, believe it or not.
It's a fun. It's so I'm sure Josh Pate knows all about it.
So no, but I was going to tell you, just in case, we do have a couple of thunderstorms that are going to be moving through, and I don't think anything severe. But in case I lose you, you can just replay Joe now.
Okay, I'll do that.
Kind of get you warmed up for that, but I doubt it. I think we're going to be okay. But everything, I'm looking out of my window here at the beautiful Capitol in Jefferson City, and it got dark. Like, I looked out just 2 seconds ago, and it was fine. And then I looked out, and now it all of a sudden just got pretty dark here in Jefferson City. So I just wanted to prepare you there, just in case. Okay. And I believe in you, Noah. I believe in you. I think you and Dave Bartu at 4:00 would have a really good conversation.
Oh, goodness.
No, I believe in you. I believe in you. Let's go to Kalen DeBoer talking about Jalen Milroe and how he saw him improve over that 15 days of spring practice. This is the head football coach at the University of Alabama, Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah, I think he really came a long ways in processing, playing the game, moving the chains. And so just when he hits fall camp, I think just having 100% confidence in every concept we put in, especially in the first week or two, that he's had reps after rep after rep, and can not just execute, but also, run the whole show, just telling every guy what their responsibility is. And so it goes beyond your position and goes on to run the rest of the offense.
All right. So we're seeing Jalen Milroe take some significant steps, right? And really, we had Tony Franklin on a few weeks ago, and he made some big comments about Jalen Milroe and how comfortable he looked because he criticized his footwork earlier in the season. What can Jalen Milroe be able to accomplish? I can make the argument that he's the superstar coming back in college football. We did this late last week where we looked at the superstars, and you look at the Heisman finalists that return. Most of those guys have departed. Or just say top 10 Heisman guys from last year in the voting. Look at how many's departed. So you could make an argument that Jalen Milroe's returning star power is going to lead Alabama, and that's going to be. And if he's able to willing to run, I was looking up Jaden Daniels' stats from last year, and you go and look at how much the mobility created openings in the passing attack. They set all kind of records from a standpoint of rushing. I wonder if he could study Jaden Daniels, because it was the mobility that opened up that passing attack. All right, we'll continue here. MedCenter Urgent Care Family Medicine, no appointment necessary. The super doctors who live and work in our area. MedCenterUrgentCare.com. Josh in Georgia, Robert in Brookwood next. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
33 for 15% off your first purchase. Love it or return it for free. That's LUMEdeodorant.com, code 3333 to save 15% today.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A summer-like afternoon, partially sunny. A few isolated showers or storms through tonight. The high today 90, tonight's low 68. Tomorrow, thunderstorms likely during the morning. Another storm possible by late afternoon. The high tomorrow 87. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 85 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Never miss a moment of the action. Download the free Tide 100.9 app today.
Home in the valley, home in the city. Home isn't pretty, ain't no home for me.
Continue with more phone calls. We're taking those. We had Aaron Torres on earlier. We got Dave Bartu coming up in a couple of minutes. That's going to be a lot of fun to be able to dive in. I did find out, and I got some great audio of Brian Kelly, but I've also got some information. I don't have time right here to get into it, but we'll get into it in the 4 o'clock hour about the LSU Collective and some of the demands that one of the players was asking for LSU. And I think that's the response. And we'll hear the audio and we'll debate that coming up at that 4 o'clock hour. Let's go to Josh in Georgia. Josh, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Good afternoon, Ryan. How are you, buddy?
I'm great, man. I hope you are as well.
Been a couple of weeks. I've been busy, but I've been doing all right. Just busy.
Yeah, we heard a rumor. We heard a rumor.
Oh, no.
That's what we heard. We heard a rumor.
What was
but
the
we
rumor?
told them. Well, we told them that there was no truth. But they said you were hanging out in Athens, like making milkshakes and Gatorade slushies for the football team is what we were told. But out
It
of
must
the
have
goodness
been
of your
another.
heart.
I mean, out of the goodness of my heart, sure, I do some things, but I don't know if that would be one of them. But it must have been another devilishly handsome-looking devil if he looked an awful lot like me.
Well,
But,
Bama Nick is the one that gave us the information, and so we were kind of doubting him. But
what does he know? He probably had too many Jack and Cokes that afternoon.
well, and he's teamed up. Like, he couldn't take you down by himself. So now he's
I
got
know it.
Larry. He's got Larry from Osillo. That's with teamed up with Bama Nick. So he's taking on you 2 for 1 here.
Oh my. Okay, that's all right. I got strength in numbers. I don't have the time nor the place to start listing off the callers on this show who I know personally and who are on my side, if I wanted to say it like that. But anyway,
okay.
I won't. Like I said, I won't get into it. That's the biggest thing. I was always taught.
Well,
we're on
Team Josh. We're on Team Josh. We're good.
I'm on Team Ryan. I mean, you give us the best coverage of the University of Alabama out there. So, and through Facebook, Twitter, and the app, we try to stay up to date as we can. But what's the topic of today? What are we discussing?
Well, we're actually debating. Brian Kelly had made a comment. We're not in the market of buying players. Unfortunately, right now, that's not what we're looking for. They want to be bought. And we're asking if that's an authentic comment or if that's one of those that you're just a coach kind of making excuses. Because if I was an LSU Bengal Tiger and that comment was made about my program, then that would be trying to set me up for the future going, man, we're going to really stink it up in 2024.
Yeah, no doubt. If a seasoned coach like Coach Kelly says that, that just says, hey, we're going to stink. And they're not getting, the donors and NIL collective and things of that nature like they should. So, because I know somebody, and you yourself have already referenced Dabo. Dabo's not got on this train fully with NIL or the transfer portal from what I've seen or heard. And Clemson, I mean, you got to play the Bull Puppies the first week of the year in the 2024 season. And I'd like to see him give them a game, but I just don't know that they can because he's not adapted fully to the new style and new way college football's going. And, I mean, I know it's going more toward that pro system, and we hate to see it, but, hey, that's where we're at. So
that's where we're at. That's the world that we live in. But I
really think that's setting them up. They're gonna. I mean, but that just sounds like it's setting them up for a fail.
Regardless of whether we disagree or not. I mean, you're working for LSU. You're trying to create a program where you are competing at a high level.
Right.
It doesn't sound like that LSU. And I made a statement that I thought he would win one national title within 5 years. He'd win a national title. I thought
the best shot he had was last year.
when they beat Alabama, really? I thought, man, this is
sure right.
He may do it in 3. It doesn't seem like that they're on track. It seems like they've lost a lot of momentum.
Right. I mean, you would think that year, if you want to go back to that year, whenever they, just barely beat us in that overtime with that crazy right there at the end. But then you would definitely think last year with the potential that they had, they was going to come into Tuscaloosa. I can't tell you how many people, not LSU fans, just people in general, fans in general. Georgia fans, Auburn fans, Tennessee fans, looked at me and said, hey, Jaden Daniels is going to carve y'all up and run all over y'all. I said, I don't know about that because I knew what our defense could be. We hadn't seen it fully yet. And whenever they went, I think, tie the game up or make it a one-score game there at the half with that long ball throw he made, I was like, I wasn't doubting our team, but I was just like, that's going to be an interesting finish. Of course, we shut them down, doubled them up in points or something. I mean, it was 42-28 or whatever it was there at the end. And, you would have think last year would have been his best shot with a quarterback like Jaden Daniels and two receivers like they had. But, oh, well, because I don't see him being much better this year.
You look at Jaden Daniels. Can Jalen Milroe replicate his game after Jaden Daniels? Can he be the Jaden Daniels that LSU was last year? Now, we want our defense to be better than what LSU looked like. LSU did not play good defense. They were awful.
No. I mean, they let Jalen Milroe run for 4 touchdowns, and he had not run much. And then it's all of a sudden it's like Tommy Reese decides to run his quarterback, and we put 4 rushing touchdowns on him. And if Jalen Milroe can have that style of year where he can balance the passing and the running in the Kalen DeBoer system, I mean, I'm not saying this out of bias and out of crimson-colored glasses. I could probably take the crimson-colored glasses off and make this statement. And it's a hot take for 2024. I'll get me a shirt if I have to. Milroe for Heisman. Let's start campaigning right now. I'm thoroughly convinced he can be that good. I mean, you look at the year that he had last year, he can be that good. Call me crazy.
I still think it starts with him being mobile. He's got to be willing to run the football. And we saw a lot of hesitation in that last year. I'm not sure if it was because he also took a pounding, right?
He did.
48, 49 sacks.
He did.
Maybe his body was not ready to take anymore. But if he opens that passing attack up, that's where you really say, man, he can really take a big step with his game.
Because real quick, I'll give you an example where we didn't have surety of what we had in a backup quarterback is you go to that Arkansas game where Bryce's shoulder gets hurt. Jalen Milroe steps in. He looks like a stud, finishes the game. I mean, has some runs, has some throws. But then you go to that next week where A&M comes into Bryant-Denny, and Jimbo had a plan. I think Jimbo just knew. I mean, I'm not saying nobody gave him inside information, but just because of his years of coaching and experience, he knew Bryce probably wasn't going to play that game. And if you look at the way they defended Milroe, they was ready for Milroe. They wouldn't have been ready for Bryce. I think Bryce could have carved him up had Bryce been healthy. But anyways, that's just my opinion. But I think I'm just excited about 2024, and I thought I'd call today and check in because the rest of the week's a little bit busy and next week's busy. But, hey, we listen to you. Just know that.
Well, we appreciate you, Josh. Thank you so much, man. Roll Tide to you.
Yes, sir. Roll Tide.
Right back to you, man. Thank you as always. Let's continue. And we'll go to Dave Bartu, and then we're going to Robert at Brookwood. We'll take up more phone calls. We're giving away 38 special Rick Springfield tickets right here on the game. T-Town, Tide, 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Resort.com. Lone Star. Saturday, May 25th, Pearl River Resort Silver Star Convention Center. WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Isaac Lowenkron.
In the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys today released receiver Martavis Bryant. The Pittsburgh Steelers are reportedly signing receiver Scotty Miller to a one-year deal. The Denver Broncos released quarterback Ben DiNucci. The NBA Most Valuable Player Award winner will be named at 7:30 Eastern Time this evening. The 3 finalists, Denver's Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks, and Oklahoma City's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. On the floor tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, Game 2 of the Eastern Conference semifinals from the Garden with the New York Knicks up 1-0 over the Indiana Pacers. In Major League Baseball, the Milwaukee Brewers activated outfielder Christian Yelich, who had been on the injured list since April 16th because of a lower back strain. Right now, the Brewers trail at Kansas City 2-1 at the top of the 6th inning. Blue Jays a 4-2 lead at Philadelphia in the top of the 8th. Angels won at Pittsburgh 5-4.
Northport Power Equipment, if you're looking for chainsaw needs, if you're cleaning up those leaves or yard debris, you'll find the backpack blowers, the battery-operated tools, the Echo Outdoor Power Equipment, Crest Outdoor Power Equipment, the battery-operated tools by Husqvarna, and you'll also find great inventory on the zero-turn commercial and the residential mowers by both Skag and Husqvarna. Service department, do that end-of-the-season maintenance at Northport Power Equipment. Sits 2 blocks east of the Northport Civic Center since 1996. Northport Power Equipment. To go. We've got Brian Kelly audio coming up that we're going to work in. We've got more Kalen DeBoer audio that we're going to work into. He was at the Regents Charity Golf Classic up in Birmingham, Alabama, along with Nick Saban, and we've got audio from both. We got some things that we want to dive into. We'll take phone calls coming up in about 15 minutes. We've talked basketball here in Tuscaloosa. Aaron Torres. Yes, can you believe it? I mean, here we are on May the 8th of 2024, and we're talking about basketball in Tuscaloosa. Why not? Alabama is going to be projected as possibly the number 1 team in the country. We've also got some preseason odds that we want to continue to get into. We've got Heisman odds. We got a lot of things to get to. We are always powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com. 3325 Skyland Boulevard and online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. And right now we're going to Dave Bartu. It is CFB Matrix on the Twitter account. You can find him there. He's a consultant for many different programs in the Southeastern Conference and around college football. Dave Bartu, how are you, my friend? Welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa.
Doing good. Running a little low on fuel. Got up way too early this morning to go fishing. So I was happy you texted me and said I'm calling you in 6 minutes before I was about to lay down for a nap.
No, man, I'm glad I did as well. But you're an outdoorsman. I love the outdoors. I think that's maybe how we, I know we connected over football, but you and I have also talked about different things that we enjoy doing outside. Fishing. Did you have any luck? That's the biggest thing.
Oh no, it was a great day this morning. Hit the fish and then hit low tide for razor clams out here. They're a big time delicacy and they're big old clams. So me and the dog, we got our limit and jumped in the truck. It was only an hour and 15 minutes from home, so it was a great first half of the day.
Man, sounds like you're going to have a good meal at some point in the coming days. I don't know if it's going to be later this evening or if it's going to be tomorrow, but sounds like Dave Bartu's going to be eating good is what it sounds like to me, my friend.
Yes, it will be. It's going to be some fried clams tonight, brother.
Man, see, we don't live now we do have seafood a couple of hours away, in Gulf Shores. We can get good seafood here, but not where you go out and, I guess catch the freezer supply there. But, I mean, that's a benefit. And you live in the beautiful Northwest. And, Dave, we had you on a few weeks ago, and, you kind of helped us understand who Kalen DeBoer was. I think you did a lot for him in this community because you helped us understand how quality his staff was. For those who didn't hear it back then, I don't want to relive everything, but we do have a different audience that floats in and floats out. Share some of those thoughts that you had around Kalen DeBoer and his coaching staff before we dive into maybe a little bit different meat and potatoes that we're going to talk about today.
Well, I think the 10,000-foot view, I remember when I came on and everybody was worried about the staffing and their perceptions of it. And, by our numbers, the staff, what they have now, was not too dissimilar in quality to where it was a year ago. Now, the pieces might be different in terms of where the quality is, but, last year, entered the season, number one head coach in college football, top 5 staff in college football. And that's, we're still sitting right there around the top 5 staff, top 10 staff in college football again. I just think there was a lot of names that your listeners, the Crimson Tide fan base, weren't familiar with that were, they're a lot better than I think people realize. And I think even the guys they kept, like a Freddie Roach at the D-line, that was, at the time Kalen was hired, that was the highest graded guy on the staff. And so the 2 that he kept, I believe it was 2, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, those were the 2 highest grade, no coincidence, those were the 2 highest graded guys that were on the staff at that time. And in the process, this was to me, if Ryan Grubb, I think if the calculations are correct, if Ryan Grubb had stayed, this is the number 1 staff in college football heading into the 24 season, from 1 through 11 on-field staff. So when Grubb left, there was a really big hit, because the guy that's the named offensive coordinator is a very different grade than what you had with Grubb. But still, overall, 1 through 11, it's incredibly solid staff for college football.
Yeah, and we've got to know them now. What you said back a couple of months ago after watching the spring, when you go to spring practice, 15 days of spring practice, I walked away going, man, this staff's got a lot of energy. Jamarcus Shepard, good heavens. Whatever he's got rolling through those veins, I want it, man. I want it. The energy, woo, man, it's fun. And you could see how well he connected with those players. Not only from Kalen DeBoer, but his assistant coaches. You understand you're starting to kind of get this vibe that these players are building a relationship and a connection with this coaching staff. And I think it says a lot about Kalen DeBoer and this entire coaching staff that they've been able to build a connection in 115, 120 days in Tuscaloosa. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of spring ball, my first question I would have asked you, if she was on the other foot, if I was interviewing you, I wouldn't have been worried about the players. Thing I'd have been looking at is how well were the coaches getting along? How well were the coaches communicating together out of the chute? To me, that was the most important thing, because these guys have never taken live bullets all together at once, right? And so this is the first glimpse that you get to see of the entire coaching staff working together. So, if you were seeing good things, good communication, good cohesion, to me, that would have been the most important thing to look at in spring ball.
When we're looking at NIL and transfer portal and everything, how can analytics help these coaches out to be able to serve a purpose? Because you're in advanced analytics. You've been in analytics for a long, long time. It's really, I think you've been able to separate yourself with a niche. But how can your work and analytical work help these college football coaches out?
Well, not in NIL, right? Because that's really more free agency. I think the number one thing that you have to consider in free agency, okay? Because NIL is different. That's the BMW dealership paying somebody to be the face and voice of their advertising. Free agency is just paying somebody to play. And when you look at the NFL model, the numbers are very, very conclusive when you look at the NFL model, in that the more you use free agency, the crappier your franchise is. The more you use free agency, the more games you lose. Okay? It's almost linear in the NFL. So we don't have enough data to show it in college football. But I do believe you abuse free agency in college football, you are going to lose more games than if you focus solely on high school recruiting. So while it's important To me, the winner of NIL free agency transfer is going to be getting that quarterback that pushes out an extra 2, 3, 4 wins. That's about it. Maybe filling some gaps, but I really believe that the best programs are the ones that stick to their guns on high school recruiting and do a little bit of fill with NIL. Maybe you get some guys hurt. Maybe guys didn't pan out. Now, one of the questions is going to be, look, if we're not getting guys to pan out at a certain position, are we evaluating these guys poorly, right? And maybe it just comes down to money, too, in terms of what other schools are paying. But my first thing on NIL is I would caution overuse of it. But in terms of what we do, in terms of evaluating the athlete, we've actually rolled something new out. We developed this in the NFL 2 years ago, and we actually just had our first high school combine. Ryan, I haven't even had a chance to tell you this. It's you brought this up, so I kind of figure it's an open window to jump through. But
yes, please.
We created an algorithm for athleticism. And it worked in the NFL. Yeah, it worked in the NFL. And basically what we found is 96% of everybody in the NFL that made a start had a minimum level of athleticism. So there's a baseline in the NFL to make a roster. Now, wouldn't you think that would apply to Alabama football? Wouldn't there be a baseline athleticism to make a start in Alabama football? Now, if I'm working with Kalen DeBoer and his group, then one of the things that we establish is using this new athleticism model. Basically what this is advanced analytics and athleticism. And if we can come up with a baseline for Alabama football, then instead of going out there every time a coach or a parent goes, hey, I got a kid you got to watch, instead of looking at all their film, the first thing you do is see if they hit the athleticism number. Because if they're 14 and they don't hit the athleticism number, you don't look at them. Don't waste your time. If they're 15, 16, 17, 13, it doesn't matter what their age is because we have 18,000 combines from 7 to 18. We know the growth rates. So we can project an Alabama player throughout his entire middle school, high school career, and we can create massive levels of recruiting efficiencies at the lower level versus the NIL side, which is the upper level.
Well, and coaches are looking for the advantage. I mean, they're looking for any advantage, and I think what we've seen is parity is tightening down in the world of college athletics. You need something that can separate you. What is it? What is it? Maybe it's this. Maybe it's other things. But college coaches are looking for somewhat of advantage, just like they are in the NFL, because of the parity in that league.
Yep, and that's one of the things that we did with the athleticism level. Now when you get into the 6th, 7th round, undrafted free agents, the clients we work with at the NFL, they already know a minimum amount of athleticism they're looking for before they even sign a guy or re-sign a guy. So it creates efficiencies and it reduces acquisition risk. Same thing with college. We can do this with high school, right? I mean, if you got a great high school in the state of Alabama that also recruits, they find their baseline. Now they know how to recruit more efficiency. Look, there's 3 times as many athletes today as there was 30 years ago, and fewer scholarships. So you're going through 3 times as many guys for, let's say, the same amount of scholarships. You don't have time for that. You need a filter to be able to get through everybody. Otherwise, you're going to miss people. With our new system, you don't have to miss anybody, and it doesn't cost the high schools a thing. So I'll pimp something out right here. If you're a high school coach right now, if you're a college coach, call me. I will show you how to be more efficient in 5 minutes.
And that's what we've kind of talked about a lot from the analytics standpoint of basketball and how Nate Oates uses that to his advantage. And he made a Final Four run. And a lot of that was based on talent. You got to have the talent, but the analytics side and how he's embraced that. I mean, he loves math, and he was a math teacher before he was a coach, and he was a coach at the same time in high school ranks. Then he made his way to the college ranks, and so he kind of understands that analytics side. But I mean, there's an advantage there, and I think we're going to see it grow in the next 3 to 5 years. I mean, I know it's here now, but I think 3 to 5 years from now, the word analytics is not going to be as foreign as it is to many people now.
Yeah, I just think everybody's trying to do the problem. I think with a lot of people in analytics is they're trying to do a big thing. They're trying to do a money ball. They're trying to do something huge, and we don't believe that's not a great pursuit. I mean, if you find it, awesome, but to us, it's like 1,000 little cuts, little edge, little tiny edge. You know, if I could help Alabama football have one less guy that leaves, has one more guy that pushes for a starting job, right? Just tiny edges, you know, win one football game because of the analytics in 2 years. That's what I believe should be the pursuit, not some big, giant program-changing event, which is likely to never occur.
I want to ask you, in the SEC, where is Brian Kelly's coaching staff? Give me your thoughts, because Brian Kelly's been a big topic of conversation today around the college football world, because he said, we're not into buying players. We're not going to do what other programs are able to do. From a coaching staff standpoint, where do you look at in Baton Rouge and Brian Kelly?
Relative to the SEC, middle of the road. LSU, I'd put them in the tier. I'd put them in there with Florida. I put them in there with A&M.
You
a little bit above Oklahoma.
You like Billy Napier? Yeah.
Personally, the staff, the Gators. I thought Billy was the best guy available at the time he was hired. There was only two other guys that were possibly available: Brian Kelly and James Franklin. Franklin renewed with Penn State. Kelly went to LSU, and boom, that was it. This was the highest level of potential in that job opening time. And as you know, it's a moving target on those things. So I thought that was at that time an excellent hire. The staff hasn't come together. I don't think. I think the biggest problem that they had is bringing in Austin as a DC. He's 2 of his 3 years as a DC now. He's had a bottom 25 defense in the FBS, bottom 25 out of 133 teams, 2 out of the last 3 years. So I think that's hurt. But getting back to Brian Kelly, I think you recall at the beginning of last year on this show, I said they had the worst defensive support staff in the SEC. And even though they recruit in the top 5, that defense did not disappoint that prognostication last year. Now, they fired everybody, and the average defensive coach, they had the biggest jump in defensive support staff grade in the offseason, almost a 25% increase per coach, which is a tremendous jump. And then offensively, they had a really good jump as well. So overall, offensive support staff, but they lost Denbrock. And overall, the staff's up about 2%. But they're great. I have them. Let's see. If we were going to make some tiers, we probably got Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, tier 1, tier 2, Auburn, Missouri, Tennessee. Not sure if I put Texas up there because Texas has Sarkisian, and that is just not a good head coach grade. He's got everything else. He just really never put it all together consistently as a head coach. I'll go Texas, Florida, LSU, A&M in that third tier. So that's where I'm seeing Brian Kelly and his staff right now. I think Brian Kelly still a top 25 head coach in all of college football, but I just don't believe this staff is anywhere near where it was at Notre Dame. And I still think there's a lot of upside at LSU in terms of building the staff. I think there's a long ways to go to get to where LSU wants to be, at least LSU fan wants to be, which is the national championship conversation. To me, this staff is not a national championship conversation staff.
Let me ask you about the Auburn Tigers. Where is their where'd you say their staff was? Because you may have said it.
Tier two. I put them in there with Missouri, Tennessee. I mean, it's really solid. Again, there's room for upside. I think with Auburn, I think you got to put them at tier 2 simply because they've only been together for a couple of years, right? They don't have the coaching continuity of a Georgia. They don't have the coaching continuity of an Ole Miss. Auburn and Missouri, they don't have that coaching continuity there. So a couple of good years back to back, they might bump up into that tier 1. But I got Auburn behind Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi coming into the season. But that being said, I think there's a lot of potential in the staff. They got a couple of guys that we have rising star labels on. So we really like the upside with the staff. And it also just doesn't have as much experience. You look at Georgia, you look at the experience at Alabama, you look at experience at Ole Miss. Those are three of the top 5 most experienced staffs in the SEC. Auburn's a little bit younger, so I think there's some more room to grow there in Auburn. But Tier 2, I'm really comfortable with.
Dave Bartoo, it is always good to be able to catch up with you, my friend. We're going to continue to talk about this, and I know we'll feature you very, very soon, and we'll come back and do a revisit on some of the topics that we discussed, man. Go enjoy your clams. Fried clams sounds amazing. Enjoy your evening. Dave Bartoo, tell people how they can get in touch with everything that you're able to offer.
Well, always on Twitter. I mean, that's where most of the coaches and everybody finds me. The DMs are open at CFB Matrix. You can text me on my text line, 971-217-8419. And if you want me back, just harass Ryan. I love talking college football. You got a question, you got a comment, text me, or just bang on Ryan a little bit. My phone is always open for a phone call from Tuscaloosa.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate you, man. Always enjoy the chats, man. Have a great rest of your day.
Take it easy, brother.
We will come back coming up in just a couple of minutes, and I've got a new coach that's made a crazy comment. I don't know if you're going to love it. You may. We'll talk about it next. T-Town Tide, 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Now, this hour's West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
The Tuscaloosa County School System is looking to hire bus drivers for work available immediately and will host meetings next week for potential candidates to learn more. Also, deputies in Tuscaloosa County are asking for public help finding a teenager who they suspect ran away from home before dawn on Wednesday morning. In addition, responders with the Tuscaloosa Fire Rescue Service will soon begin administering blood products to people who are critically injured before they go to a hospital. You can read about these stories and more at thetuscaloosathread.com.
Get 24/7 local news coverage and sports updates when you download the free Tuscaloosa Thread app and sign up for twice daily email newsletters. Tide 100.9 Traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Hello to you and happy Wednesday. Got a situation on McFarland westbound after Watermelon Road. Now that is a extremely heavy intersection until you do have a fender bender, but it looks like it's on the way out. Meanwhile, traffic in the rest of the area pretty much typical.
DrMartyPets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A summer-like afternoon, partially sunny, a few isolated showers or storms through tonight. The high today 90, tonight's low 68. Tomorrow, thunderstorms likely during the morning. Another storm possible by late afternoon. The high tomorrow 87. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 86 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
You're listening to the best sports talk show, breaking down the Crimson Tide, the game with Ryan Fowler on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Back into the game. I'll take you to Boise State here for just a couple of seconds. Spencer Danielson just said today that incoming freshmen are not eligible to make NIL money during their first season in the program. He wants players to work for what they get. Wow. Are these programs just broke? It's kind of like the LSU topic of conversation. Is Brian Kelly is he authentic with this, or are they just short of money and they're going to make this as a rebuttal? Anyway, let's go to Robert in Brookwood. Robert, I set you up with that LSU comment. Fire away, my friend.
Well, for once, I have to agree. I think they're low on money. They've dished out so much money. He's lying when he says he ain't paid players. He's had NIL. I think it's just what's going to affect a lot of schools. Plus the economy's bad. You got to look at the economy. Unless you're just super rich, who's donating to the schools right now?
Yeah, you would have to say that some of these donations have to be low. Season tickets, I'm talking about around the world of college athletics. People are worried about buying groceries. They're not worried about, hey, let me go give, $59, $69, $79. Let me give you a direct deposit credit card for my NIL. No, Robert, I've been sitting here. This is something simple, but I have most of our automobile insurance is through Geico, but we have one vehicle that we insure with Liberty Mutual. I got an email a couple of minutes ago that my renewal is going to be $75 a month more. And I emailed them. And said, whoa, hold on a minute. The car is a year older. Why is this policy now this? She said, I haven't had a speeding ticket. She said, it's just inflation. Wow. That's the type of things. As you said, it's crunching people.
Yeah, I think he's probably right. It's just not that much money, so there's going to have to be something. And who did you just say had that idea about not paying them until they get on the field and prove themselves?
Boise State, Spencer Danielson has...
Excellent choice. I think that's the truth. Make these little high heads think they're the greatest thing in the world. Come in and we'll just wait. Prove yourself first.
Yeah. He says, quote, if you're looking for an easy way, if you're looking for a handout, don't come to Boise State. I like that.
Of course, it could kill his program, though.
It could, because if you're an incoming freshman, are you going to look at Boise State? Are you going to say, okay, I'm going to go take Boise State's. So the coaches are having to say all of the different things, but I'm going to play the audio from Brian Kelly coming up in the next segment, because I think it's something that, we're going to grab. And, I just saw where LSU, this is where they're at with recruiting defensive linemen. They just offered Grand Valley State defensive lineman Jair Suggs. Grand Valley State. Does anybody know anything about Grand Valley State?
Division II team. Maybe Division III.
Is that where you're going to be able to build?
Well, Ryan, talking about money, they won't parity in college football, but Texas A&M, Ohio State all may have more money probably than LSU or Alabama. In other words, if you want this thing parity, these schools will fork out the money. There's probably 10 schools that can do it. Other than that, it falls off, and everybody's not going to be able to do that. So what are we going to do from here on out? Have the 10 richest schools have the best players?
Well, and they're saying that what caused this reaction is Dominic Williams asked for a 7-figure, and Matt sent me the information. Matt Moscona down there a couple of minutes ago. He sent me that he had asked for, I think it was, $1.2 million. He would have been the second highest per person in the building behind Brian Kelly. So in other words, you would have a defender that would be making more than all of the assistant coaches other than Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly, he'd be the second highest paid guy in the building.
That's my point. If Texas or Texas A&M, Ohio State really wanted that kind of money, they'll work it out.
Oh, yeah.
They really want that player.
Which I don't, and I understand that Oregon is desperate. I understand Texas. Digger, we're talking about your program. You guys have always kind of thrown around that money, that power. Look at us. We've got this ego, and we're going to inflate it with the dollar. We're going to buy our way to the top. It's just, And I know in this world that we live in, it really is not going to change anything. But does it mean the same? Like if Ohio State goes and wins a championship this year, will it mean the same?
Fans don't care, Ryan. They just want a national championship. And all they're going to say was, you ought to pay the money too, like we did. I mean, you know how fans are rubbing it in your face, or alumni. They just want a championship. They don't care how you get there. It's a cutthroat business, brother. It's a cutthroat business among fans. They don't care. As long as you can get them a national championship, they don't care what you do. If they're not a school, since Paul from Lincoln always likes to bring up Auburn, is that not what 2010 was about with Auburn? They didn't care what they did. They won a national championship that was bought. You say that on this show all the time with Scam Newton, right?
But I mean, look at that. Look at that from a standpoint now. As you said, I don't think people care. I think people
don't care. They just want a championship.
They just want a championship. So if it cost me, $15 million, and I would, for my benefit, I'd like to see one of these programs, and we're seeing it. Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, they're swinging for the fences. They got plenty of money, tons of it. To me, the bigger question is who's going to take charge? Who is going to take charge? Today we've had two coaches that have stood up. If it's authentic down in LSU, which I don't really believe a lot of stuff coming out of there. I get it. But you hear the audio in this next segment, Robert. I think there's some value here. So we'll get into that coming up in a couple of minutes. But
you're going to make me have to sit through torture, listen to an LSU coach talk after you know how I feel about them.
Well, I was going to ask you about Patrick Murphy and softball.
Oh, yes. Look, I'm going to agree with Tommy. Not once I've been hard on Patrick Murphy the last 2 or 3 years, Ryan. A few little times I talk about it. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to continue to say, if you are satisfied with average or just being good, he is the man. If you want to go to the next level, he is not the man. It's up to Alabama. It has fell off. The man will not recruit hitters. He has an archaic offense, and it's getting worse each year. So, they could be internal changes, but he had a chance last year to get a good hitting coach. I don't see it. This team just they cannot score runs. They cannot hit the ball. I don't know. I mean, he's been a great coach at Alabama. He's won that one national championship. Yes. My goodness, there would have been more than one. But once again, if you're just satisfied with being good, hosting a regional every now and then he needs to stay at Alabama. But if you want to go to another level, I don't think he's the man. I think his ideas has gotten old and stale. He just looks like he doesn't enjoy it no more to me. He's just going through the motion. But, I mean, I'm not making that call. I mean, I thank him for everything. I'm not trying to come against Patrick, Murphy. I just think there comes a time that, there needs to be a change, and who knows? I mean, only Alabama can say that. I'm happy we're winning, so, hey, let's keep winning. But to get to that next level, I just don't think he can do it no more. Not with his offensive mind.
Robert, I appreciate you, man. Roll Tide to you.
Roll Tide, brother. Be good.
Thank you. We'll continue with more of the game. I do remind you about Joel Brumfield. If you're looking for some great California-style pizza, you'll find it right there on University Boulevard, 205 University Boulevard. If you're looking for a great sandwich, the Nukes Q sandwich, the #1 sandwich across the franchise, the great white barbecue sauce that you'll find there, the French dip sandwich, the salad, the California-style pizzas, the 12-layer cakes, catering from a small office party to a large corporate event from 5 to 500. You'll find a great catering menu customized to fulfill your wants and desires at our good friends at Nukes Eatery, 205 University Boulevard, 205-758-2455. Close enough that you can smell the championships. We're rolling on. We're taking your phone calls coming up in a couple of minutes. We're going to get to those. But a Brian Kelly audio clip, it puts it all into context. Or does it? We'll talk about it next. We'll play the audio, let you hear for yourself right here on the game. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
On sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Part of the Coca-Cola Concert Series produced by Live Nation.
A huge part of the game is SEC Parlay Pick Day on Friday. It's made possible by Brian Harden Construction, a diverse business, crane and equipment rentals up to 320-ton cranes available, the CNC machines, reverse engineering, laser cutting, specialists in modern construction. It's bhardenconst.com. Experience you can count on. Let's build something together. The website, very informative. It is bhardenconst.com. Brian Harden Construction, industrial contractors and fabrication, I-beam installation. Brian Harden Construction, every Friday made possible by Brian Harden Construction. TuscaloosaToyota.com, a huge part of our show. We are powered by those guys every single day. The service department, always great. The new inventory side, all those new Toyotas comes with that lifetime powertrain warranty. And right now, we have the most inventory that we've had in over 2.5 years. Camrys, Corollas, RAV4s, Highlanders, 4Runners, Tundras, Tacomas, also the pre-owned inventory. Most of the pre-owned inventory comes with that same lifetime powertrain warranty. See all of the inventory, TuscaloosaToyota.com and Tuscaloosa Toyota on Skyland Boulevard.
Stay up to date with the Crimson Tide. Local high school sports and Bama in the pros right here on Tide 100.9.
Power Equipment. It is the Husqvarna dealer right there, one of the greatest inventories, one of the top sellers in the entire Southeast. The inventory that they're able to push through Northport Power Equipment, whether we're looking at the Echo outdoor power equipment, the Husqvarna products, weed trimmers, backpack blowers, handheld blowers, battery-operated tools, all the weed trimmers, strings, and supplies that you need if you're one of those weekend warriors, and the Crest outdoor power tools as well. You'll find that at Northport Power Equipment. Northport Power Equipment, they've got the garden tractors, zero-turn commercial mowers. You'll find those. And for the residential or the professional landscaper, it is Northport Power Equipment, 2 blocks east of the Northport Civic Center. Go over and see my friends, Bryant and Keith Ellis, and tell them the game sent you. We greatly appreciate them for being a part of our show, or maybe it's service that you're counting on. All those guys do a great job of maintaining service on the products that they're able to sell and all the supplies that you need. Let's go to Brian Kelly. This is an audio clip, and it comes via a WABC affiliate there in Baton Rouge. Brian Kelly had a great comment, and here's the audio that we've been talking about today. Here is Brian Kelly and the quote that he gave the Baton Rouge TV station.
Interior D lineman, where are you right now with that?
Well, I think I made it pretty clear in a number of the press conferences that I had that we were in the market in recruiting in the transfer portal looking for defensive linemen. It hasn't fared very well, quite frankly, because, you know, we're selling something a little bit differently, and that is we want to recruit. We want to engage, build relationships. We want to develop, retain, and have success. We're not in the market of buying players, and unfortunately, right now, you know, that's what some guys are looking for. They want to be bought. And look, I understand NIL is part of this, and we have an incredible collective. We have very, very generous opportunities around the greater Baton Rouge area for NIL opportunities. So they are here, but we're not going to go out and buy players. That's not what this is about. This was never about that. We will develop you. We will get you ready for the next step, as we did with Jaden Daniels, as we did with Malik Neighbors, as we did with Brian Thomas. We developed 3 defensive linemen that all got drafted this year. and we'll do that again. But if you're just looking to get paid, you're looking in the wrong place. If you like all the things that we do here in developing our players, bringing you into a championship program, playing in front of the best fan base in America, playing for championships, and having an opportunity for NIL, you should be a Tiger. But if you just want to get, paid, this is not the place for you.
That is Brian Kelly. Do you buy it? Are you buying it? We'll ask AC in Bangladesh, but that audio courtesy of WAFB there in Baton Rouge, WAFB Channel 9 in Baton Rouge. Brian Kelly, sit down with them. We're not in the market of buying players. That actually adds more to what we've been discussing here today after we've heard the audio. I do remind you about the Standard. If you're looking for some of that mouth-watering hot, fresh pizza, it is now available by DoorDash or visit the Standard there on University Boulevard. Go see those guys. If you're looking for boneless wings, you'll find those. It is the great pizza, thestandardbama.com, thestandardbama.com, thestandardbama.com. You'll find it there on University Boulevard. If you're looking for some of that mouth-watering hot, fresh pizza, is available by DoorDash or the Standard on the Strip, thestandardbama.com. I greatly appreciate those guys for being a part of our show. We move on. We're taking your phone calls next. T-Town Tide, 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, McFarland Boulevard, westbound lanes, a fender bender after Watermelon Road. This is going to cause additional delays as, of course, we do have slow goes in the area anyway at this time of day. And then you're traveling pretty slowly on inside those construction zones.
Pets.com/deal or text deal to 511-511. Text deal to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
We talk about grilling so often. If you want to dominate the grill today or any day, go visit our friends at Mark's Mark in downtown Northport. I walk in there all the time. There's new things added, whether you're trying to amp up the spice cabinet or whether you're going in for a great ribeye, a salmon swirl, a chicken swirl, that's what they're home of since 1978. The seafood entrees, the great cheesecake, the great pies that are made here locally in Alabama, the Blue Spring Living Water. You'll find it at Mark's Mark in downtown Northport under that Roll Tide Bridge. Go see the friendly folks at Mark's Mark, downtown Northport under that Roll Tide Bridge. Alabama Credit Union. Feel good about your money. AlabamaCU.com. The mobile app makes banking so much more convenient. All the mobile deposits, many times you don't even have to go into the bank to manage your money, whether we're talking about checking, savings, mortgage, home equity loan, financing a vehicle. And remember, Roll Tide, show your pride with the official credit card of the University of Alabama Alumni Association. AlabamaCU.com. Alabama Credit Union with great branches all over West Alabama and throughout the state of Alabama. Alabama Credit Union.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A summer-like afternoon, partially sunny, a few isolated showers or storms through tonight. The high today 90, tonight's low 68. Tomorrow, thunderstorms likely during the morning. Another storm possible by late afternoon. The high tomorrow 87. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 86 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
The best breakdown of Alabama football in the state. The Game with Ryan Fowler on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Hand in tickets I've forgone. Turning back, she just laughs. The boulevard is not that bad.
Let's continue. Let's take phone calls here, and we go to AC in Bangladesh. AC, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much for taking my call. Good, man. How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm having a good day.
I hope good. I hope Mr. Producer is doing well enough. You told me to comment on Mr. Brian Kelly. Well, I mean, so my understanding is he's trying to say other universities, they are buying players. That's my understanding, right?
Well, that's
Brian
Well, I mean, that's happening.
That's how I'm taking it. I'm sorry?
That's happening. It's happening.
I know. I mean, that's pretty much a direct shot he took. But again, he did not mention any universities, or else he's going to be under hot water. Under hot water. But that's what he feels like. But the thing is, here was what I noticed. You know, I'm going to call your show. However, what am I going to talk about? Then I called Mr. Feinbaum's show, and they're talking about Brian Kelly, Kalen DeBoer. I was like, wait a minute. I have a conversation. You know what's going to be most embarrassing? Let's assume Kalen DeBoer wins a championship, whatever that is, before Brian Kelly and what's that other guy? Oh, Lane Kiffin. That's going to be more embarrassing because you and I, we know this better than anyone else. Kalen DeBoer just went through the championship game last year with Washington Huskies, and they're not part of the SEC. He just joined the SEC. So to me, for me personally, personal opinion, it's going to be embarrassing if I'm Brian Kelly, especially that loudmouth, what's his name, Lane Kiffin. Let's throw the popcorn, whatever he says. Yeah, you're throwing popcorn, all right. You're losing all the time. So, I mean, what do you have to say about that, Mr. Fowler?
Well, I think there is some excuse making with Brian Kelly. I think he is throwing some comments out here. I think he's trying to set up his fan base in case they fail, because they've not been as productive on the defensive line. And Bo Davis is one of the best defensive line coaches in the country. We loved him when he was here in Tuscaloosa, but he can't groom something that's not there.
That's right.
I mean, they went to Grand Valley State today to get one of their defensive linemen.
So they're actively recruiting, but you got to drop some dollars. You can buy them, Brian Kelly, if I were you, because the only reason he again, you know this better than I do, he left the Irish because he wants to be part of a program where they have more challenges, more competition, so his salary could go up, and he'll be part of it, and he did. He's been in that conference, SEC, for 3 years, man, and first year, out of luck, you went to SEC championship game. Great. Second season, oh, wait a minute. Did they even go to the SEC championship game? Oh, I know. Mike the Tiger was taking a nap because they couldn't even make it. It was Alabama and Georgia. So what's going to happen this time? They're going to fail again? I mean, a guy like Brian Kelly and Lane Kiffin, all the hype, just like those losers, just like that loser I hate the most, Jim Harbaugh. He ran like a dog. So all the hype, man. Chip Kelly goes another one. How many championships did Chip Kelly won? Nobody knows because he never won anything. My thing is, why do sports media, I'm not attacking you, Mr. Fowler, why do sports media, they hype up these losers when they're not even getting it done? I mean, Ryan Day did something, at least he went to the championship game or something, 2020, and he lost to Crimson Tide. At least he did something. But the coaches I just name-dropped, they haven't done anything. I forget Jim Harbaugh. It was a fluke championship run. What do you say about that, Mr. Fowler?
Well, I mean, there's so much to unpack there. I believe in Brian Kelly as a football coach, but the more he talks, it tells me that there's rough water ahead for LSU.
That's right. But you know what's going to be – I'm forgetting that guy's name, the Irish head coach. God, he's a young dude, man. It's like I have to Google. What's his name?
Who? The Irish Notre Dame, right? Marcus Freeman?
That's right. If Coach Freeman wins a championship, or even if he competes for a championship before Brian Kelly, that's going to be even more embarrassing. It's like you and I were going conversation to conversation. It's like, you know what I like about you? You want me to think, and I like that. I want to have a conversation with you.
Well, I appreciate it, AC. I mean, listen, I look at LSU, and it seems that they've got some challenges here. But I could also understand the argument that they don't want a player that they didn't develop to make more than everybody in the building other than the head coach. That's a challenge, man. But, and, I mean, that's managing your locker room. I mean, that's another part of it, too, is trying to manage that locker room. You bring in somebody from the outside, you pay them that type of money. All right, man, I appreciate you, AC. I hope you have a great day, man. Thank you again.
Thank you. Holla.
Holla. He's always talking about that holla. I appreciate it. AC in Bangladesh. Coming up here in the next couple of days, people at Mercedes that work at B, USI has got a big decision. And it not only impacts you guys, but it also impacts our great community here. Stephen Rumsey's company reached out to me and just want to remind people how the UAW mishandles member dues. They have a history of corruption. Union memberships forfeit individuals' rights to self-determination. The rigid rules reward seniority, not merit. History of layoffs. And just this past couple of weeks, Nissan North America in New Jersey just decertified the UAW after only 4 years. The relationship was awful. They come in, they make a lot of promises, and they don't fulfill a lot of those promises. So as those workers go to the polling location, it impacts, we talked about Nick Saban being one of the greatest investments the community's ever made. Mercedes-Benz has got to be right there with Nick Saban. And we're looking at that big vote starting next Monday. They're going to do it for about 4 or 5 days, but just kind of look and do some evaluations. Don't be overpromised. Don't buy into something that's not right. And there's unions out there that do a great job. Not saying that they don't, but my dad was a union member for 30-something years. A lot of overpromises and a lot of under-deliveries. Mercedes-Benz is a great company to work for, and I keep hearing those commercials, and they kind of go parallel with some of our community leaders here in Tuscaloosa. Just consider that before you vote which way, starting next Monday. We'll continue with more of the game next. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Isaac Lowenkron.
Ippei Mizuhara, the former translator for Los Angeles Dodgers superstar Shohei Ohtani, has reached a plea deal with federal prosecutors. Mizuhara will plead guilty to charges of bank fraud and to subscribing to a false tax return. He'll be arraigned next Tuesday. In the NBA, The Athletic reports that Indianapolis police are investigating the incident between Milwaukee's Patrick Beverley and fans at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis during the opening round of the playoffs last week. Detectives are working with the arena to review video footage and plan to speak with the parties involved. In Major League Baseball, the Los Angeles Dodgers defeated the Miami Marlins 3-1 for their 14th win in their last 16 games. The San Diego Padres blanked the Cubs at Wrigley 3-0. Dylan Cease of the Padres got the win in 7 scoreless innings. He allowed just 1 hit and struck out 12.
Rumsey Environmental, serving the sound of my voice with waste removal services, portable toilet services, construction debris removal containers customized to fit your job site. Maybe it's remodeling. Maybe it's the storage containers. We did this about a year ago, moved all of our furniture into a storage container, brought out the construction debris removal containers. They customized to fit your job site. When you talk about when you have to know it's being done right, that's the time to call Rumsey Environmental, 205-248-0002, 205-248-0002. Rumsey Environmental, a one-stop shop serving West Alabama for all of your waste removal needs.
For you, call 800-8000 or visit mezwins.com. I've got this.
No representations made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Don Wattis CPA, 527 Main Avenue in downtown Northport. Small business and personal income taxes, payroll, sales tax needs. They can also help you with nonprofit or church accounting or auditing. In business since 1999, they work for you, not the IRS. When you take on taxes, you got to have someone on your side. It's Don Wattis CPA, 205-345-5595, 205-345-5595. Don Wattis CPA, the official accountant of the game.
Rolling down a backwoods Tennessee byway, one arm on the wheel, holding my lover with the other, A sweet, soft southern thrill. Worked hard all week. Got a little
4 NCAA appearances, 11 Sweet 16s, 17 combined SEC titles, 2 Elite 8, 1 Final Four, second in SEC history in total league wins, second in SEC history in winning percentage. That is Alabama Crimson Tide basketball, 18 national titles, 30 SEC titles, 147 first-team All-Americans, 77 postseason appearances, 45 postseason victories, 4 Heisman winners, the NCAA all-time scoring leader, and the greatest football coaches to ever walk the sidelines. We had Aaron Torres on earlier. We talked a lot of Alabama basketball with him. We spent probably about 23 minutes with him. If you missed that, Tide109.com. We are always powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com, 3325 Skyline Boulevard, and online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. If you're looking for a new Camry, Corolla, RAV4, Highlander, you'll find those. And also don't forget about take a look at those Tundras, 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive options. How about a Tacoma, 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive options, and the most inventory that we've had in 3 years at Tuscaloosa Toyota. Let's continue with phone calls, and we go to Tony in Tuscaloosa. Tony, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Good afternoon, Ryan. Roll Tide.
Yeah, roll Tide to you, man. Hope you're having a great day.
I am. I tell you, he's going to be having a great day. Mrs. Fowler, when she's riding around in that crimson Mercedes. When are you going to take delivery of that?
Soon. Yes.
I'm kidding. I would. Everyone knows Fowler's not for sale.
We are a Toyota.
Right there.
We are a Toyota family. You drive a Toyota.
Well, you were. Now you're a mixed family. You're a house divided.
Well, I mean,
I do want to say one thing about unions real quick, if you want me to.
Yeah, if you'd like, sure.
You know, the reason the South has become the new Detroit when it comes to automobile manufacturing is because of labor unions. So simple. They had to leave.
They had to leave.
There was a time
they did.
They did. I mean, look, there was a time in which the labor union was needed when it came to child labor laws and things like that, protecting the worker. Now it's outlived its purpose. I hate to say that, but that's my honest opinion. And if you don't like it, don't write me any checks.
Do you have a price tag too? Is that?
Of course, absolutely.
Well, here's the thing, okay? And I love Tuscaloosa. You love Tuscaloosa. We made this our home, and I don't want to see economically the community suffer. And I just know that we can't afford to lose any jobs right now in this economy. And generally, when a UAW comes in, jobs are lost. That big deal that they signed back in the fall, where the big three went on strike and they had all these negotiations, they lost a ton of jobs simply because of the UAW. So it's just they overpromise, and so many people fall into that trap. My old man was a union guy for 30-something years, man. We couldn't even agree to even talk about stuff like this because he was hook, line, and sinker, man. It was kind of sickening, to be honest with you, to what they did, from his standpoint. I mean, from politically telling you how to vote. Oh, yeah, by the way.
Who are they telling you to vote for? Who are they telling you to vote for?
Dude, my dad and I was raised by 2 Democrats, man. My parents were huge.
I mean right now, today, who are they telling you to vote for?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's Joe. Joe. Yeah, so.
Is that the leadership that you want to spend your money for, to tell you whether you're going to strike or not? So people make 10 more cents in Bangladesh and you don't work for 6 months to a year? And then, whatever money that you're going to be making allegedly in the beginning, you're gonna lose a lot more than that from striking. That's the people that's good into thinking for you are telling you Joe Biden is the answer. That'll tell you all you need to know. That's all you need to know.
Well, and they actually support Palestine. as well. So, you know, I mean, if you look at the UAW, it's, hey, I mean, if you look at the corruption, I started, because I was invited to be a part of a call and listen to it. And I started calling myself. I said, okay, I want to find out if, you know, what I was just sold was true.
That's right.
And I did. I started reaching out, and I'm like, oh, my Lord, the corruption. Not all unions are like this. There's unions. But in the state of Alabama, one of the reasons why we have become the automobile capital building, I mean, we build 1 million cars a year. Look at the economic impact of just Mercedes-Benz. But you go where Paul and Lincoln is. Go up and look at that automobile dealership.
Hyundai.
Go down to Montgomery where J-Rob sat. And look at the economic impact. I mean, the jobs that they bring in. Tell me another company.
Well, just think about this. Not just Mercedes, but look at all the third-party partners, distributors that they have around there that employ even more people than Mercedes does.
Sure. Yeah. Well, Robert from Brookwood is one of those guys that works in one of those suppliers. So. High-paying jobs, we just don't need them to interfere.
Anyway, who's going to step in there? Who could possibly? What industry could possibly step in and fill that void if they left? There is none. There's not none. There's not one. So we'll move off that. We'll move off that. You know, we've solved it now. It's going to vote no. It's going to vote no. We've solved it.
Well, and I think
can I borrow the Mercedes every now and then?
Yes, you can. Yeah, you can.
Okay, cool.
Do you want the electronic version, or would you prefer the gasoline?
I prefer hybrid.
Okay.
Hybrid.
Okay.
Hybrid.
You know, I've never driven an electric vehicle, but I've rode in one, and this thing was not a Mercedes. I was in a one of my good friends.
You were in a big league Tesla.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. Fastest vehicle I've ever ridden in my entire life. This thing went from 0 to 100 on Jack Warner Parkway in about a nanosecond. It was.
That's right.
It scared me. It was so fast.
The lack of a combustion engine is the key. There's instant. Yeah, that's it. Instant speed.
I mean, it's instant. It went boom.
Like a golf cart. You know, in a golf cart, you hit the button, and it goes, pew, and it just starts going. That's like the same. That's an electric engine.
It's kind of like Kalen DeBoer taking over this Nick Saban, this offense. You know what I mean? It just it's kind of instant. It's no delay.
Nate Oates, Division I basketball.
Good heavens! Now, Tony, you did not call in on Monday and Tuesday. I know you protest on Monday. Tuesday, no protest, but Wednesday you call. Give me your honest reaction to what Nate Oates. I mean, I'm kind of like, it's almost like you're in some kind of fantasy that you think this is happening, and then you have to pinch yourself and go, it is real. It is real what he's building.
It's long overdue. Long overdue. And you know, the guy you had on, who's the analytics guy for
Michael Swimmer?
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I gained so much from that guy, listening to the guy. He was fantastic. And you know what? To me, there's two things that Nate Oates has done that has completely separated himself from the rest of the entire history of University of Alabama basketball. I'm going to tell you right now what I noticed. And I've been following it since Leon Douglas and the basketball team in 75 and 76. I've been following it really close. You know, the highs and the crushing lows going through on that. We've always recruited athletes in basketball. We've never recruited basketball players. We've never recruited kids that really knew the game, that were well drilled, that knew what we would call savvy. We've never had that. We've had one or two. We've never had five, much less a roster full. That right there. I mean, you look at the guys out there. They know the game. They know the game. And that is such a huge ordeal. That compared to suddenly all our players can shoot free throws. You might have one guy, Nick Pringle, that can't shoot free throws. They come up with a way for him to shoot free throws. And that guy told us right there how he identifies the players from the time they're 15 years old. Every play they've ever made, every decision they've ever made, suddenly it's not just talent. It's savvy and in the ability to, because what will get you beat is playing a great game and missing all your free throws. And we've seen that as Alabama fans forever. Not under Nate Oates. Those two things right there have separated us from everyone else. Now we are an elite basketball destination. Don't ever use the term blue blood. It takes decades of winning to be a blue blood. I mean, elite winning. UConn is not a blue blood. So I just want people out there listening, don't say that. That's what stupid Auburn people say. We're a blue blood. You'll never be a blue blood. There's never been a blue blood that hung a curtain in their gym. Ever. There's only like 4 or 5 blue bloods, but we can become an elite basketball program, and at the moment, we are. Now we just need to sustain it. And look, you look at last year. We had the number 1 team 2 years ago, right? The number 1 seed going in the NCAA tournament.
We did.
I will say this, that every player that we lost, the players that we brought in, I didn't think we had upgraded one position better than the year before.
Yeah, I agree.
Before the season started. You know, we didn't upgrade one position. I felt like that was better than that. But I felt like from a talent standpoint, and we lost all our coaches. Now, don't play the music. We're not getting off yet. We're not getting off yet. Cut the music. Stop it.
I can't stop it. Once it starts, I can't stop.
Well, then I'm going to talk through it. But anyway, going through on that, we finished in the Final Four. So with an inferior group from the year before because of the evaluation. It doesn't matter. You play it. I like this song. Well, I'll talk to it. I don't care. But, hey, we had to talk about Brian Kelly.
We do. We've got to talk
Brian
about
Kelly.
You want me to hold you over to the other side of the break?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll do that.
All right.
Because the sponsors are the most important thing.
Yeah. The sponsor is the most important thing. It is the pharmacy at Midtown. The pharmacy at Midtown. TJ Thomas, he's the Nick Saban of pharmacists. The only sterile compounding facility here in Tuscaloosa. All the compounding needs. It is the pharmacy at Midtown with TJ Thomas. If you're looking for quality medication, consistent medication, or maybe it's that hard to get medication, it is the pharmacy at Midtown with TJ Thomas. If your pharmacist doesn't have an Alabama shirt on, you don't want him. It's the pharmacy at Midtown. We'll continue with more. We'll take Tony on the other side. He's got a couple more comments, and we'll get to Pat in Tuscaloosa, Karen in Tuscaloosa, and Jared in Dallas. Right here on the game, T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Now, this hour's West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
The Tuscaloosa County School System is looking to hire bus drivers for work available immediately and will host meetings next week for potential candidates to learn more. Also, deputies in Tuscaloosa County are asking for public help finding a teenager who they suspect ran away from home before dawn on Wednesday morning. In addition, responders with the Tuscaloosa Fire Rescue Service will soon begin administering blood products to people who are critically injured before they go to a hospital. You can read about these stories and more at thetuscaloosathread.com.
Get 24/7 local news coverage and sports updates when you download the free Tuscaloosa Thread app and sign up for twice daily email newsletters. Tide 100.9 Traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We have got, heavy delays on McFarland Boulevard on the westbound lanes to Watermelon Road. Now, that accident's been there for a large part of the afternoon and into the evening now, so you got a very thick backup to Rice Mine Road. In the meantime, we have got...
Guarantee. Text support to 511-511. Morning Kick.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A summer-like afternoon, partially sunny. A few isolated showers or storms through tonight. The high today 90, tonight's low 68. Tomorrow, thunderstorms likely during the morning. Another storm possible by late afternoon. The high tomorrow 87. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 86 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
The best sports talk show in all of Alabama. The Game with Ryan Fowler on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Jukebox money.
At Midtown's intro. Maybe the pharmacy at Midtown. I mean, Tony, can you pick up the Love Shack and do a pharmacy at Midtown spot?
Well, let me tell you better than that. That should be Hugh Freeze's recruiting song, because he's taking them all to the Love Shack. That's why he looks like he's been on a 20-day bender, because he is.
Got him,
dude. There is something. I mean, I got to work on, Hugh Freeze. There's just something there.
He's hanging out at the Love Shack. Him and the 16-year-old.
Ooh.
Which I'll address that more. Look, I've got two Embrace the Sucks, and I'm going to run on because I can't wait to hear Karen. That's going to be great. I'm looking forward to her. Who else is coming up? Jared?
Pat in Tuscaloosa.
Pat. Love it. Okay. I can't wait.
Now, Tony, are we going to discuss Friday?
Never
mind.
When I'm done. Hey, when I'm off, then make the announcement if you want to or not. It's completely up to you. But let me run through this real quick. My first Embrace the Suck. Embrace the Suck. We're talking about softball. I turn on the softball tournaments going on. I don't know if you know that or not. It's down on the farm. And let me tell you, these people have taken Embrace the Suck to a whole nother level. I see a lot of they and thems down there dressed like John Cougar Mellencamp with Pete Rose haircuts. These booger eaters, I tell you what, I do have something in common with these booger eaters, though. I too like Snapper, but I like mine fresh.
Hell.
No. I got to run real quick on that. So now my next Embrace is, can you imagine how hot it is, the stench of bad fish down there? But anyway, I digress. I'm not going any more on that. My next Embrace the Suck. LSU and Brian Kelly. Everyone knows that Brian Kelly left Notre Dame to go to LSU so they could buy players. This is the school that was giving handfuls of $100 bills on the sideline to the players on TV during the national championship game. But we don't buy players. It's kind of like the booger eaters saying, oh, he just wasn't a booger man. He wasn't booger man enough to be on this program. It's loser talk. In LSU, let me tell you, bad times are coming. And you, too, better learn to embrace the suck. SEAEAUXK. Embrace your suck.
Tony, good stuff, man. Good stuff. I love it. Great. You brought
that hard,
man.
Thanks. Try hard. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Tony in Tuscaloosa, presented by the Pharmacy at Midtown. The Pharmacy at Midtown. TJ Thomas, he's a Nick Saban pharmacist. Let's go to Pat in Tuscaloosa. Pat, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Great call by Tony. Ryan, first off, let's go with LSU. Hey, he's setting them up down there because he knows that they can't compete with the offensive line that DeBoer's making at Alabama. I mean, hey, as much as I love Bo Davis, you can't take, when you don't have Jimmys and Joes, it's hard to develop them, Ryan. It really is. And hey, and the fact that he's saying that he doesn't want to pay them, he's just trying to put something out there where it sounds good, because he understands that Oklahoma and Texas are in this thing, and they got them oil wells there too. Hey, they can open up them pocketbooks and get whoever they need. Is that not correct?
Well, I mean, you do, man. I spend a lot of time thinking about it, and you look at the defensive side of the football. I almost wonder if Bo Davis did not make a mistake returning to his alma mater.
Oh yeah, I mean that he's going to have a tough road to hoe for sure, and I mean because hey, Kirby's doing what it takes to get them over there in Georgia, and the other places are too. And but anyway, hey, you just can't find those defensive linemen.
No,
they don't just grow on trees.
They're hard. They're hard to find. Hard to
find them guys that are mean and fast. And you got to have 300-pounders that can fly, and that's hard to find them. And so, I mean, as far as that goes, hey, talking about hyperinflation, Ryan, went to Walmart yesterday, and Diet Coca-Colas and caffeine-free Diet Coke, any Coke product in the six-pack has gone from last week at $3.98 to $5.15 plus tax, Ryan. $5.15. That's nearly $1 a piece.
Well, I mean, you heard me share the story earlier. That was not just a media talk. That was a real talk. Liberty Mutual had raised a policy. We carry a certain policy that protects liability, and I'm not talking about liability. Just it's a different policy than we do with Geico, and it went up $67. $67. Okay, so I just inquired. I was like, now hold on a minute. I have not got a speeding ticket. My wife hasn't got it. Why did it go up so much?
And the response was inflation on what?
It's inflation.
But, hey, the car value didn't go up. But,
well, I wish some of these I wish some of these suckers who voted for who. I wish they'd kind of like help us out a little bit, give us a couple of extra bucks, because
there's a saying in the Bible. There's a saying in the Bible: the just and the unjust are going to suffer under the same sun, and we're suffering. I guarantee you that. But,
I mean, it's everything. There's nothing that it doesn't touch. I mean, it's gas prices. It's it's little league uniforms at baseball fields. It's everything. It's all of the above. And we tie this right back to sports. I think I read a note today where the athletic departments that are behind, Alabama's not listed on this, but the athletic departments that are losing money, that are in debt, it's through the roof. It's through the roof because, it's one of the reasons why the basketball arena has been held up is simply because of the inflation. Everything costs more. But the problem is our salaries have not went up that much, right?
Not in comparison to inflation. It's the north end zone and the south end zone. Look at the difference in the cost of those two. That was an incredible amount of money.
Well, listen, I get criticism all the time telling people who to vote for. I'm going to vote economically because I care about the people that are make up in this country, and if that bothers people,
that's right. But before you go, isn't Alabama right? I know Alabama's a right to work state. I just got to be reading about it while y'all were talking. Hey, that's going to affect this union vote, is it not?
It will in some ways, but they try to come in, but they're over-promising. I mean, I've read some of the things that they're promising people. They're not able to deliver on those things. It's not like Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes-Benz is one of the top employers in our community, in our state. They treat their employees high. I mean, you walk in the door. The lowest paid person out there, $24 an hour. Tell me somewhere else you can make $24 an hour as an entry-level employee. There's not one.
Here in Alabama, it's fantastic, especially for not having a college education. You know, that's what people don't understand. They better understand that, hey, because the thing about it is those Germans in Texas and down there would love to open up their arms and welcome the Germans in.
Yeah. Oh, they would,
and
absolutely.
That's what's scary to me. That's what's scary. These jobs is, hey, it's better to have a $10 an hour job versus no job. Whatever it was, I'm just making that as a joke. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Pat, I appreciate you chiming in, man.
Have a blessed one.
We appreciate
you, sir.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. We'll go to Karen in Tuscaloosa, Jared in Dallas, Texas. Coming up next, T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sport.
33 for 15% off your first purchase. Love it or return it for free. That's LUME deodorant.com, code 3333 to save 15% today.
Southern Ale House, 1530 McFarland Boulevard. Eat Southern, be Southern. All the biscuit sandwiches, the great Southern cuisine like the bacon wrapped meatloaf, the fish and taters. All the great sandwiches like the Yardbird, the great salads, the daily lunch and dinner specials Monday through Saturday at Southern Ale House. We've also opened up an additional part of Southern Ale House and expanded with our catering needs there to fulfill what you're looking for. 205-248-7500. Ask for Taylor, 205-248-7500. Catering from a small party to a large corporate event. Southern Ale House, 1530 McFarland Boulevard.
Did you miss any episode on Tide 100.9? Don't worry. All of our shows can be found on Spotify and Apple Music and on demand on the Tide 100.9 app.
You can never know what it's like. Your blood like winter freezes just like ice. And there's a cold and lonely light that shines from you. You wind up like the wreck you hide behind that mask you use. And did you think this fool could never win? Well, look at me, I'm coming back again. I got a taste of love in a simple way. And if you need to know while I'm still standing, you just fade away. Don't you know I'm still standing better than I ever did? Looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid.
Looking for a great meal? Let me invite you to Southern Ale House, 1530 McFarland Boulevard. If you're still trying to make dinner plans for this evening, blackened mahi tacos, those things are off the charts. I had them a couple of weeks ago. Coffee rub prime rib, the smoked pork chop. Those are options. Now, tomorrow, another great menu for lunch. They'll go with the hot Nashville-style chicken tacos that are A+, 10 out of 10. Brisket, po' boy. The Oklahoma burger. I wonder if this includes a Heisman Trophy. No, it's a flat, a flat top sliced onion, Southwest 1000 dressing Oklahoma burger. A lot of Heisman Trophies out in Oklahoma. Thursday evening includes coffee rub prime rib, the smoked pork chop, the blackened shrimp Alfredo. It is our good friends at Southern Ale House, 1530 McFarland Boulevard. 1530 McFarland Boulevard, lunch and dinner options Monday through Saturday from catering options, all the Southern cuisine that we have come to love. You know, we don't talk about Big Ten cuisine. You know why? Not very good. Southern cuisine. Eat Southern, be Southern, Southern Ale House. Let's go to Karen in Tuscaloosa. Karen, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
I'm well, Brian. How are you?
I'm good. Just trying to make it through another Wednesday, a hump day edition of the game. Can you believe it?
I know.
Tomorrow's Thursday. The week has went by pretty fast.
It has. And Wednesdays have become my second favorite day of the week because I get to work from home on Thursdays. So that's always nice, and I don't have to drive to Birmingham and back home.
Well, that is a blessing because, how long does it take you to drive to work, Karen?
About an hour. I mean,
Okay.
I leave home, I left my house at 6:20 this morning, and I got to the office at 7:23 or something like that.
Okay.
If there's not a lot of traffic, if there's not, a wreck or something like that, I mean, it's literally just about all but about maybe 5 miles is all interstate. So it's an easy drive. And, I get to listen to you on the radio when I'm driving, home every night. So that's always good.
That's a benefit. That's a benefit. Thank you. Thank you, Karen.
Well, and the rumor has it, I had heard some rumblings. Our shareholders had a meeting, and they are contemplating letting the staff work from home 2 days a week. So I'll be especially happy if that happens. So
now, Karen, let me ask you this question, because I'm a person that I'm still trying to learn all this work from home stuff. Are you more productive at home than you are in the office?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, because there's not a lot of people, coming up to you, asking questions. You can, concentrate, especially for me, because my boss is the managing shareholder, and, people are constantly, well, is he in today? What's his calendar like, and all that stuff. And if I'm not, is he here? That type of thing. I'm not getting interrupted if I'm trying to do something. And my job is not hard. It's just keeping lots and lots of balls in the air. And,
sure.
And remembering, and I rely on my memory, a lot, because I have to remember things. And I've always said that my most important job, or number one job, is I'm supposed to figure out what he needs before he even needs it, and plan ahead and look at the calendar and all that kind of stuff. And, there's lots of moving parts, and, just keeping everything on schedule, and, reminded him about stuff, about meetings we have. But if he's working from home, we email back and forth, a lot.
Okay.
So,
well, see, Noah has to keep me on track. That's a full-time job right there.
Yep.
I mean, Noah, if it hadn't been for him, I'd be so off track. So he has to keep me in line. I mean, people don't hear, but many times he's whispering into my ear. He'll say, hey, it's time for a break, or, you just missed that break. You just ran right through that stop set. So he keeps me between the fences.
Well, and you have to, because, when you're trying to concentrate on what you're doing, you can't be constantly thinking about all that. And I remember when I used to talk to Eli at the coaches show, he would keep because it was his job not only to be the host of the show, but, and Tom Roberts had to do it, and Chris Stewart had to do it, but Eli would bring his tablet, and he would put it up on the stage, and he would have the stopwatch on it. So he would, or a clock, basically, with the minute or the second hand, so he could see exactly what time it was. And he would have to know, okay, we got to go to break. We've got to, and the show will end early so they can do all the commercials. And, as you in radio say, pay the bills, that type of stuff. And he would have to keep those breaks. And, you can't cut off Nick Saban, and he would start talking and all that. And Eli would have to keep up with it. And I remember asking him one time, I said, what is that? He said, that's to keep us on schedule. So I understand what Noah has to do. I mean, it's, somebody's got to do it.
Well, and many times we borrow from Peter to pay Paul.
Right.
And people, because, like an Aaron Torres, okay? Aaron Torres was a great interview earlier today, okay? So it was 20 minutes long. Well, our segments are only 12 to 14 minutes. Well, if I go long, I have to borrow from Peter to pay Paul. And
exactly.
Hey, Karen, what do you think about Brian Kelly in some of the comments? Do you believe him? I mean, he says they're not buying players, and you heard the audio. It's
No, I've never liked Brian Kelly, and I'll tell you why. I will never forget being at the Alabama-Notre Dame National Championship down in Miami, and I had friends who were texting me, telling me when he was going in from after the half, going back out on the field, and his infamous comment when the reporter asked him, so what do you think you can do to stop Alabama and get back in this game? And he said, maybe they won't come out of the locker room.
And he took some heat for that comment.
Well, and the thing is, I cannot stand a coach who does not, I mean, how would he, God help his players, how they must have felt knowing that their coach had no confidence in them
Zero.
to come out. The only chance that they had to beat Alabama was if Alabama stayed in the locker room. And I'm sorry, a coach has to have confidence in his players and make them, he has to build them up and make them believe that they can do it. Like the old Bear Bryant, my favorite Bear Bryant video, because they don't have that many, is when he's like, well, we got 11 people. You know which one I'm talking about.
I do.
And,
Karen, I'm out of
I know you got to go. I hear the music.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well,
thanks, Karen.
Roll Tide, Brian, and we'll talk later. Have a great rest of your day.
Roll Tide. Thank you so much. Jared in Dallas, Texas next. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama. Crimson Tide Sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. A large portion of the evening, we've had problems on McFarland Boulevard, westbound at Watermelon Road. Now, it looks like they have cleared the accident. However, it is going to take a few minutes, more than a few minutes, to unwind from Jack Warner Parkway. That's where you're...
Knives, ammo, sporting goods, and more. The gun show hours are May 11th, 9 until 5, and May 12th, 10 until 4 at the Cottondale VFW, 7001 University Boulevard.
Nuke's Eatery right there on University Boulevard, 205 University Boulevard. Call ahead orders 205-758-2455. We always like to say close enough that you can smell the championships. It used to be the fringe of the campus of the University of Alabama. Now the campus has built around them. When you're talking about a great sandwich like the Nuke's Q sandwich, or maybe a great salad, that macaroni and cheese is outstanding. The bowl of soup, a cup of soup, as we lower temps here in West Alabama, you can parlay those and you can pick a pair. Maybe it's a California-style pizza. Maybe it's the great chicken salad, the pimento cheese. Catering from a small office party to a larger corporate event. Nuke's Eatery, 205 University Boulevard, close enough that you can smell the championships. Go see Joel Bromfield and all the friendly folks at Nuke's on University Boulevard. Over 60 years of serving Tuscaloosa and West Alabama. When you talk about the friendly staff at Pat's Florist and Gourmet Baskets, 1010 Queen City Avenue, when you look at the fall floral arrangements, maybe you're trying to lift someone's spirits a little bit under the weather, celebrating a birthday or special occasion, it's Pat's Florist, 205-345-5093. Anniversary, birthday, get well, love, romance. Make someone smile today. Pat's Florist and Gourmet Baskets.
Where the legends of Alabama football hang out.
McCarron, draw play. Lacey, huge hole.
Touchdown,
yep. Alabama touchdown.
The Game with Ryan Fowler. Your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Well, 7 or 8 minutes left in the show. This is the way to line up. We've got Jared in Dallas, Texas, Digger, Ellis, Bubba. We'll do our best. We'll try to limit everybody here in about 2 minutes. Jared, Dallas, Texas. Jared, you're up next. Good afternoon. You're in the game.
Hey, man, I'll go fast. I'll go real fast.
Thank you.
Brian Kelly is so full of it, man. Are you kidding me? The state of Louisiana is maybe the most broke place on planet Earth, but they will dig money up from wherever to pay for stuff at LSU. I'm from there, so I'm probably your resident expert on the delusional insanity that is LSU. That place, that place terraforms people and idiots. Ryan, look at Kim Mulkey, and I've known Kim Mulkey since she was young. Ryan, I've known her since she was playing basketball at La Tech, and our family knows her. And look what happened from Baylor to LSU. About a year at LSU, look at what happened. I mean, you're talking she doubled down on the crazy there. And Brian Kelly, set your clock. He's going to double down on the crazy too. And he's not telling the truth, man. Bottom line.
Hey, Jared, I heard Louisiana was so broke they couldn't even pay attention.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad, but they amazingly find money to support what goes on in Baton Rouge. But and they will. All he's doing is covering his bases, in my opinion. He's just covering his bases. If things do go bad, then he can point to that comment.
We're not going to buy players. We're not going to do it that way. We're not going to. And I know what he's trying to do. I get it, but it's just he's pandering. Hey, Jared, thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, man.
Let's go to Dicker in Louisiana. Dicker, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Yeah, I'm growing weary of these coaches, spewing that sanctimonious crap. Okay. The fact of the matter is he bid it on a player and lost out. And Saban's done that too. So did Dabo. Everybody's done it. Okay. The only reason why Venable got this guy, they're talking about Dominic Williams. Okay. He decided to go defense. He's replacing his whole offensive line, breaking in a new quarterback, doesn't have a running back. He has two good receivers, but he's got to go defense if he's going to be competitive in the SEC. So they had to have this guy. And so we were asking for him too. We were going to give him $500,000, and Sarkisian said, "Wait a minute, let me go to Floyd and ask him, hey, what did this guy do against us? He was playing for TCU." And Floyd went and looked at the tape, and he said, 1 tackle and 1 hurry. You going to pay that kind of money for that? $500,000 for 1 tackle and 1 hurry? And then he went to ask his offensive lineman, the center and the 2 guards. He said, "No, we put a footprint in his chest. This guy ain't worth $500,000. If you're paying him $500,000, we want more." That's what he said. So forget it. The guy's not worth it. So lucky that Brian Kelly didn't win this thing. He's not going to do anything at Oklahoma. I'm being dead serious. So, just letting you know.
Dicker, let me ask you this. I'm hanging out with a few Oklahoma people this week. They don't think very highly
My
of you guys.
condolences, but go ahead.
They don't think very highly of you guys. I thought we had a bad image of Auburn. Man, you should hear Oklahoma people talk about you guys.
Well, yeah. Really?
Yeah.
It's Oklahoma. Remember that. Bowling alley for tornadoes. Your wife goes there to do what? Work on the mental. I'm telling you, Oklahoma, they're trash. And trust me, you wouldn't catch me in that state like Arkansas. You won't catch me in Arkansas. So, yeah. Whatever.
So you're discriminating against Oklahoma is what you're saying?
Well, yeah. You know what a Sooner is? You know why they call them the Sooner?
No,
because
please tell me.
They cheated to go claim more land from the Fed. They couldn't wait till midnight, so they left sooner. That's a cheater. That's a scumbag. That's a criminal. So, yeah. Over and out. Let you go.
We're going to have to spend like a day learning Oklahoma and Texas because this group does. I mean, as Dicker just explained, they kind of hate one another. Let's go to Ellis, Manchester, Tennessee. Ellis, good afternoon. You're in the game. The last duck through the hole.
How you doing, Ryan, fellas?
Man, I'm incredible.
Good deal. Yeah, y'all was talking about Nate Oates. You know, he's made it fun to watch Alabama basketball.
He's made it very engaging. And I know you even went to the Vanderbilt game and came down to Tuscaloosa to support the Tide. So that's a big drive, man. I know Nate appreciates that.
I'm going to do it again. But I was wanting to talk about something somebody sent me, and it's back in 2000. Back in 2019, you remember when Jerry Judy and Ruggs and all them used to do the paper, rock, and scissors thing? Yeah, they did that because they was bored because of the blowouts, and they did that. Who would see who would get the touchdown pass?
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Okay. Well, you just taught me something, Ellis. I did not realize that. Okay.
I'll send that to you. It's on Instagram, though, so look for that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Ellis,
but I thought that was pretty amazing to go back and watch that.
Hey, that's good stuff, man. I did not know that. That's good information. We're going to give away these tickets. Noah, thank you, Ellis. Thank you. Appreciate you. We had a lot of fun today. Noah, who won the ticket? Spin that wheel, my friend.
Yep, just spun it just a minute ago, and it landed on Karen in Tuscaloosa.
Karen in Tuscaloosa, you picked up the Rick Springfield 38 special tickets. We'll give away more tomorrow. Always enjoy the chats from the best fans in the country. Thanking Aaron Torres, Dave Bartu. We remind you that we call this program The Game at the Yellow, that you win the big game. The game of life is to walk daily with our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Good night, T-Town.
Thank you for listening to The Game with Ryan